High beams, wrist gleam coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you could do is witness. High beams coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you can do is witness.
Black drop back, my stacks is on greatness. High level shit off top, you can't make this. Fuck the beat off guard, now that's rapist. Top laid back, the beans, now that's weightless. Gotta excuse me, y'all, I might break this. Paint a perfect picture, y'all boys gon' need faceless. Fall back a few, they fiend for thy greatness. Better cut before you take this. Cashmere playing golf with my 9-9. King fall off, they know that I find mine. Fucking with an OG in them fine lines. White pin the mirror on the all-time high. Shining since I came out the pussy, I blind guys. Eating with my team, you cannot define eyes. Squares out of circle, boy, I divide pies. Truth so big, cannot deny lies, huh?
High beams, wrist gleam coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you could do is witness. High beams coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, yeah, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you can do is witness. Overseas singing melodies while I'm lofty. Smoking these 5 trees, you know I'm comfy. Bitch so exotic, that pussy, you know I'm lost in. Asset, and location, you know I'm bossing. No Marriott, yacht master of my submarina. My work stay sabak no man, I'm still cleaner. Talk like you got an army, but you ain't got no team. I just landed, nigga, smell like the Gulf Stream. You don't understand this, you better read a book. Look a rap genius, you better read my hook. I'm on another level, my shit be hard to reach. I can change religions, but they make it hard to preach. Thought you had friends, but you learned your lesson though. Pat these niggas down before you let them through the door. The game fucked up, I put it in the grapple. Painting pictures, nigga, Sistine Chapel. High beams, wrist gleam coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you could do is witness. High beams coming down your block. Painting pictures with these words, call me Basquiat. Everything authentic, we don't fuck with gimmicks. You can't rush the greatness, all you can do is
sometimes it make your mind dissolve, trying to solve something not meant for you to solve. You got to search for inner peace. Inner peace. Sometimes you got too much involved, trying to solve personal problems you should solve. You got to search for inner peace.
Check.
Inner peace.
Let's get it, come on.
Yeah, to free my...
You know what it is, man. Super Blaze inside the campaign mix. This is the Outside Most Party Podcast and Mix Show. Thanks for tapping in. You know what it is. We inside this mic burner real quick. Mike Ether, in a piece. You gotta find out sometimes, you know what I mean?
Sometimes it make your mind dissolve, trying to solve something not meant for you to solve. You got to search for inner peace.
Shout to Baron B.
Inner peace.
Gotta agree.
Sometimes you got too much involved, trying to solve personal problems.
Shout to Mac with the Guther, you know what it is, man.
Search for inner peace.
We live with it, let's go.
Inner peace. Check me out. To free my mind, I leave my house and empty in the coastal. Sitting right in my backyard, this shit is really local. It's like my problems run away when I sit by the water. Meditating, sitting still, I become the water. Jump off the cliff of life, release my parachute of problems, everything's alright. At least that's what I tell.
Shout to Roddy, man, what up, my boy?
At night, the spirit sink. My blood, I'm taking flight. My mind consumed. The devil said he moving in, but I ain't got no room. He wanna break me down and tell me up what I assume. But I just keep on grinding up to my top chakra, feeling like a Buddhist on a mountain, sitting proper, traveling God, moving through the cosmos, space and time. But all I really know, I'm at my zenith, familiar with my inner peace because I seen it. Sometimes it make your mind dissolve, trying to solve something not meant for you to solve. You got to search for inner peace. What? Inner peace. Sometimes you got too much involved, trying to solve personal problems you should solve. You got to search for inner peace. Inner peace. Bonquisha had a baby, but that baby didn't make it. Feeling like she's all alone and can't no one related. She permed her hair, put in some weave and made her nails long. Aspirations of stripping and making millions. Packed it up, left her mom, moved to South Beach, hoping she could make a living off monogamy. But things changed when she met a G. She fell in love with the dream he sold and everything she see. The big cars, Cuban links, and the real estate. Hoping he would take her to a realer place. She lost in the facade, things ain't what they seem. He left her for a girl that had some bigger dreams. She got no money, got no job, and nowhere to go. She ran back to her mama's house and broke down on the floor. Her mama told her, you stuck in the belly of the beast. You need to search for inner peace. Sometimes you got too much involved, trying to solve something not meant for you to solve. You got to search for inner peace. Inner peace. Sometimes you make your mind dissolve, trying to solve personal problems you should solve. You got to search for inner peace. Inner peace, inner peace, inner peace.
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze, let's go.
DJ Super Blaze. In the mix.
Enemy of my tribe, I op of mine, so what's happening? Government and all y'all cross the line, so what's happening? My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line, so what's happening? We original, y'all GMO, y'all lying. I do this for my
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze, let's go.
Enemy of my tribe, I op of mine, so what's happening? Government and all y'all cross the line, so what's happening? My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line, so what's happening? We original, y'all GMO, y'all lying. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche, my Nietzsche. I do this for my Nietzsche. Should've left me where I was, cause I ain't never scared. Took that little ice off my neck for this arrowhead. My nation, my Nietzsche, someone thorough said. Real Americans, still pure blood, we thoroughbred. I'm like, let my people go and just take me instead. When it's red or blue pill, I'm only choosing red. I'ma always choose my people, you can keep that bread. Our government owe $1 trillion, you can keep that bread. If it's one thing Jim Crow is showing me, I don't want no white folks ruling over me. I don't want no politicians ruling over me. I don't want no po-po ruling over me. Only somebody just like me gon' treat me like me. I'm Iron Wyan Cherokee, Chief and Dr. GLE. I'm still a G like DST, you might not be as G as me. You think you free, but you need remedy to be as free as me. I'm from the hood, I'm still waking up my people. They got us good, they still hating on my people. When it comes to fashion, the whole world wanna be like us. When it comes to music, the whole world wanna be like us. When it comes to dancing, the whole world wanna be like us. Foreigners are doing everything, trying to weaken us. Sports, y'all can't fuck with us. Rhythm, know we killing y'all. Anything involve a ball. Mentally, we figured out the cosmos. After all inventing shit, we smashing y'all. It's time to take through asking y'all rights by blood after all. Vatican and the Smithsonian got all our shit. Artifacts and relics still keeping us away from it. When they say that was a long time ago, that's racist shit. Y'all holy land keep stolen shit. We don't need y'all holding it. Reverse engineering our technology, controlling it. Gave it everything you got, but you can't put no soul in it. I ain't go see the new Matrix cause I'm living it. Everything is not what it seems, but I'm killing it. Can you afford to pay attention who you living with? Now they trying to mandatory vax, but is you getting it? Fall back off my Nietzsche, I'm peeping y'all tactics. This ain't no earth war, this here is galactics. Goddesses and gods warming up like practice. We gon' put arrows on your chest like patches. Mongoloids can't style like us, them fake natives ain't wild like us. They ain't got a soul, destiny as a child like us. Nobody power like us, nobody peace pop like us. Boxing y'all can't fight like us, nobody lost they right like us. Wake 'em up, I'm in the way. Say too much, I'm in the way. They trying to kill us anyway, so listen what I'm finna say. Everybody, our kids, we raised y'all anyway. What they since he's finna say, everybody ain't here to stay. Is you with us
so
or
dope,
this
my
ain't no in
eyes
between?
low.
I'm
When
a
you
nine,
move like
get the
God,
bean,
the
not a
time
king,
slow. I came
1492,
back for the
but all
blacks
my
and
allies
turned
what
those
it do.
back up in them land packs, let go with them townhomes. What's a native to a native? Eat $5 though if he not melanated. Pale faces got you waiting on a savior. Sending prayers up, he texting back on vacation. Yeah, God children, give all your praise to Jesus, but how God feeling? He say put no one before him in divine image. It's you with God a Christian. I got a vision, but niggas ain't gotta listen, so they don't. We came from the soil, wasn't fucking with no boats. Bible took our spirit, English spotted on our homes. Tribal families turned on us, don't act like y'all don't know. But fuck them and they grudges. We was something turned to nothing. And now we nothing's turned to somethings. Reincarnation of ancients, fresh up out the oven. This the message to the black man. 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 Shooters on my roof, lawyers in the coop. We can never die, bitch, we bulletproof. This the message to the black man. This the message to the black man. Was prisoners of war. You stop wasting your time, these other bitches ain't important. You ain't meditating, you ain't mating with the sauce. Like what the fuck's a noodle if you ain't painted with the sauce? I find it hard to trust a pastor who rather side with the master, who preaching we should submit while getting murdered and captured. About how we should wait on God is never our vernacular. They get paid and praised by the dollar long as they keeping us stagnant. And niggas think they woke, huh? Like you could change a whole world through a vote, huh? Like slave masters willing to let they slave go, huh? That slave master was probably your kinfolk, huh? History in reverse, a black king strategy. When blacks were your majesty, they always hide your pyramids but point to where the cash was be. Aristocracies with your last name patent accurately. Yeah. And I ain't even tell half the shit. I ain't even tell a quarter of the shit. I'm just getting started. Y'all niggas rap about busting guns and all this weird shit. I'm trying to get my people right. All I'm saying is, nigga, you always got something to say. It's like you don't shut up. On the track. A lot of niggas died 1865. Single Michael fled, how I ain't gon' let it ride. Everybody hot and black was never on your side. They do maps to tell your apps where you sleep at night. They put that white man on. Got you begging them for answers like that white man know. Had you swearing you was African, that's that white man home. Had you proud to be a savage, that's that white man's zone. And I ain't talking shit, this by definition. If being savage was our nature, y'all be non-existent. We done took your ass out when we was in them kitchens. Instead of showing you how to live and how to maintain business. White supremacy fake. Only way that shit real is if you do what they say. We the guards of the gate. So when they say they fear God, now you know what they made. Shoot some, move some, shoot some, move some. Put us in the same room, it gon' go down. Hit a nigga with that boom, he gon' go down.
They think they better than, ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine, it make they world in. I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the better than, ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine, it make they world in. I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the God MC. Equals the God in me. I'm focused in, let my mind be free. You too blind to see. The Jews I give is real. It's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this the execution. My verses start revolutions. For my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was so it seems. So it seems this is is that audio dopamine. Go against the regime, we with you and nobody can hear you scream. And sing you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't go. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life, I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get next to Shireen like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pimping hoes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gon' be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you ain't no comparison to the so-called.
One more time for the top man, Drake Cobb.
You can drop the African, keep the American.
One of my favorite artists out here right now, for real.
Yeah, make their world in. I'm going in the same dirt. My ancestors
got bars.
I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the god MC. Equals the god in me.
You know what it is, brother man?
Mind be free.
We keep the fire burning, you know what I mean?
The Jews I give is real. It's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this the execution. My verses start revolutions from my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was so it seems. So it seems this is that audio dopamine. Go against the regime. We put you where nobody can hear you scream. And sing you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't go. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life, I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get next to Shireen like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pimping hoes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gon' be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you still miss. Just keep going. It's a climb to the top, and I'ma keep flowing. Down Lake Shore, I'm Chicagoan. Yeah.
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze. Let's go.
Bang, 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 bang.
Man, shout out to the chat. You know I just can't play one Drake Cobbs. When it comes to this artist, man, I gotta play like at least 2 tracks, man, for real. So let's go again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, man. It's the Autonomous Party Podcast and Mix Show.
Hit hard like stints on a speed bag. I blow his legs off, he gon' need a knee tag. You niggas sound worse than Eminem on relapse. And Burna Boy, he's trash. You thought I was gonna let you ease past? Running your mouth while taking our culture. Treat this nigga like brisket and slow roast him. Roll up an Akon pack. I ain't ducking smoke, I just inhale and blow. I'm on demon time and I got a hellish flow. The 40 spiritual, I make them see the Holy Ghost. Let's bury these niggas and raise a toast to the Aborigines. That's from time immemorial. A tanchan is from the soil. Every rhyme is that cook coke, that hard boil. My energy is unattainable. And for you $5 Indians, I might have to flame a few. Run up on the res, you know what blazing through. Turn your gang into turtle soup. I aim for the head when I shoot. I take your top off like you do the coop. I took a drink from the fountain of truth. Now these bars is the burden of proof. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, so you gon' have to acknowledge the God. Drake Cobbs, I take your face off. My style is like cocaine raw. You gon' have to bow down to my Jaguar paw, or I'm coming like Leatherface with the chainsaw. I ride for my road dog like a new age outlaw. I do it to death like Chief Cornstalk. So fuck all your tough talk. You little pigeons can't fly with hawks. Better get you outlined and chalk. supreme being, here to electrify your chakra. Any drama, it's mask on like the Phantom of the Opera. I got the hunger, and you niggas looking like pasta. Shrimp over the lobster, and I'm smoking like a roster. Check my posture, it's only one American, the rest of y'all imposters. Cause you don't want Dre to pop up, cause it's like boys in the hood. I'm out the window with the shoddy, nigga. When it comes to the mic, I'm like the coroner. All I catch is bodies, niggas. So look my way before you come in my lane. Is arrows up, I just get it and aim. Yeah.
Yeah, you listening to Super Blaze, let's go.
DJ Super Blaze is in the mix. Let the melanin show, such a beautiful glow. I wanna put my Drake 3000 in your love below. I usually switch them up, every season is so pretty brown round. I like it when you come around, you know how I get down. We can skip town, take you to exotic beaches. Let the sun hit you and look at your exotic features. My Empress love thing, we go together like yin and yang. Ride or die, we got our own gang. Me and you loving this shit. She knows she my number one pick. She ride stick and don't need a learner's permit. We in our zone when the runs get lit. Cause I know you feeling me. You like how my spirit's free and how we build with the same energy. Drake Cobbs and you know I keep it low key. One hit of this pipe, I turn into a dope feed. It's 10 toes down. You around, you know how we get down. Yeah. Be my Mississippi and just flow with me. I give you parts you can only see. I wish the younger me was in tune with the older me. But we right where we supposed to be. I just want to embrace you. Whole world try and trace you. American goddess, your image all over the planet. The definition of organic. Your body is a work of art like Chichen Itza. It's copper color, it's nice to meet you. She says she Cherokee, wear a feather in her hair. And I'm right there, it's quite clear. Me and you together with Spark Fest. It's you and ITY in the universe intertwined. Causing eclipse like when the sun and the moon align. Now that's power divine that can light up the whole skyline. The touch your kiss, it gets me every time. Empress, you stay on my mind. You know you one of a kind because when I shine, you shine. It's nothing like the American Indian Empress. You one of a kind.
Let's go. What is it? What is it? Cobbs. You know what it is. Check. Yo, this microphone been like giving crazy problems. Check. Blaze. Check. Yeah, this mic been giving crazy problems. You know what it is, man. Super Blaze, man. Thanks for having me tonight. You know what it is. Do remember to check out the Autonomous Party. You know what I mean. Make sure we have our own channel now. You know what I mean. I got my own channel. You know what I mean. It's a little breakaway from the, you know what I mean, from the norm, from the main show. But we still here, you know what I mean? Subscribe to that so we can go live, definitely. We can, you know, collaborate every night that we do this thing, you know what I mean? I got more music, videos, all kind of thing coming for the channel, so just tap in. You know what it is, man? Super Blaze, we here. The Autonomous Party, through the campaign, as usual, man. Shout out to the channel, you know what I mean?
For sure. Make sure you tap in. Click the link in the chat. That's all I got to say about that. I'm getting an echo. Is it me? Mic check. That's what it is. Yeah, but shout out to everybody that tapped in, man. You know we live. Still here, right? Mic check. That's what it is. Yeah. Tap in with us. Again, as Blaze just said, tap into the joint, you know, campaign mix every week. Sometimes not because schedules and things, but when you see us live, mix show podcast and the mixture of things we're doing and our expansion, as he said, check out the link in the chat. If you're live, I would like you to tap on that bad boy, subscribe to it. In the meantime, though, you know what it is. Shout out to Blaze, the campaign mix. It's your boy Mac Aether. Music Media Lounge. We live. It's the Autonomous Party. The heart's reality is live life autonomously. This campaign, literally, because it's a campaign year, even though we do the campaign every year, campaign mix. We've been doing it for 4 years, easy. We've been doing it before that, but live at clubs and different things. You heard me, Blaze? You know what I mean? But we live Meet Me in Lounge. And at the same time, again, the harsh reality is live life autonomously, and you got to choose, govern yourself accordingly when it comes to that. We ain't here to tell people how to go about identifying what their autonomous situations they supposed to be handling. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Less government involvement. You know what I'm saying? Handle your business with your family and do what you're supposed to do. Take care of your loved ones. Shout out to everybody that's with us. Everybody that's tapped in. You know what I mean? Shout out to God of Green, Baron P. We live. Shout out to Monte, homeboy with the news. Tuesday, he's still dropping on y'all campaign joints. You know what I mean? Dealing with what's going on this year and some things we see that we just have to address. And I have to say it for the record because some people try to on Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse, and all the other places we, might go into to talk about these topics or tap in with. We're not Trumpsters. For the record, it's impossible for you to say that about it. If you go back and watch the shows from, because we autonomous, right? Ain't it, y'all? Everybody know that, we are autonomous. But I would tell you, shout out to Malcolm X and certain things he said about liberals. And I do feel the same way. Personally, I ain't gonna speak on everybody in the party, but I got a thing about liberals. You know what I mean? They be, it seems to be contradicting themselves with the blow of a wind. You know what I mean? Especially in this day and time. And some topics that, I'm going to show tonight that bothered me then. But now when I seen the result of things tied to people's identities and what led to some things that was popular in this campaign of this year, made me look at things from a morale, cultural, social standpoint of things that's been put in our face in the last maybe 5-6 years. You know what I mean? From shows, TV shows. I'm gonna give you an example. You know what I mean? I watched one of them. You know what I mean? I thought it was interesting, even the title that they were that bold in their liberal sense to and whoever funded it. You know what I'm saying? However, the case, it was interesting. You know what I mean? Because the things that was brought up at that time, we're gonna give you a flashback with that. You know what I'm saying? Pseudo this and pseudo that gonna come into that moment too as well. So I hope you ready for it. You know what I mean? Ain't no guest tonight. Try to leak coming last week. Obviously his book coming out. It should be out. Actually, go to his website, check it out. You heard me? You know what I'm saying? And again, we dealing with some things right now because we got a lot of things coming in 2025, as they will call it. But we had to touch on some things that I think people are confused about that from an identity and politics standpoint. Now, identity and culture, identity is social, identity, economics. These all play a part dealing with your identity. What y'all feel about that, God, Baron P? Would you think that all these things are not all in one place? Because a person could be judged off of their identity in itself, racial, right? As they say, complexion of your skin. But when you put politics with it, politics is not just race, right? I mean, when they say identity politics, it's not just race. You heard me? So I think that people have been mixing the dope. You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna say it like that. And I smoke reefer, margaritas and reefer. You know what I mean? You know what it is. That's my drink of choice, margarita. Don't try to drug me. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I'm gonna start watching my shit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But I'm saying though, like I gotta be real. Like, don't mix the dope. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta be. You gotta departmentalize outside of what you know who you are. Know thyself to know the different things that affect you culturally, also, politically. I'm gonna say the spectrum: social, political, economic, and cultural. And obviously, P stands for politics, power. I ain't gonna say the female version of the P. You heard me? I mean, them guys right now are being negotiated or investigated about to make the song. And it's one of my good songs. I like the song. Remember that song, God? Power of the P. I ain't gonna go no farther because they in trouble now. But that was my old school song back then. So, but the P though, politics and your identity, the Negro especially. I had a conversation just the other day, Friday, in open room conversation, and people were talking about this word Negro, and for some reason, some folk, I ain't saying all, think that this word Negro in its origin is tied to just the continent of Africa, and not really in its origin which would obviously show, based off of their theory of Europeans being all white, going into West Africa to grab a group of people called, in a region specifically delineated in that way, politically at that time, dealing with the word Guinea. You know what I'm saying? This word Guinea is tied to a region, though. So, and that region is not including North Africa, East Africa, Southern Europe, the Mediterranean, you know what I'm saying? The Middle East. And biblically speaking, if people are subscribed to that, like how we had Lee Cummings dealing with the, the black church thing and, people's morals, you know what I'm saying? How the black church, Negro church has lost its way, you know what I'm saying? Well, those Negroes that are in that church still subscribe to and the man that told me this, and I ain't gonna shout him out tonight because I ain't gonna do all that, but he said it's all mythology. And it's cool that you think it's all mythology if that's your position in the 21st century, but you still got to be realistic about things in history that still are outside the mythology that still impacted people historically based off of what you call mythology. How that sound, y'all? God, does that make sense? It was a tongue twister. Did that make sense? So, because I was saying, if they're saying in the 15th century, which is way, after the fact of any, biblical book, you know what I'm saying? The Torah, the Quran, or the Bible, right? In the 15th century AD, this term Negro is being used outside of that situation and still being impacted by what they call the Abrahamic religions. If anybody reads the history of, let's say, even just the time frame of, let's say, 5th century AD going into 1500 AD, that's 1,000 years. You know what I'm saying? And Negroes are involved in all that period of history. And all those, mythology, as Dudu said, you're dealing with the Abrahamic religions. And if you're into the polytheistic, cultural ideal of what people were into before your ideal of any Abrahamic influence coming across anybody labeled or described as a Niger, which later on became Negro, and you don't understand that the word Negro in origin is tied to this term Niger. Like they added an extra G. The white folk in America added an extra G to the Latin original origin of their ecclesiastical understanding of somebody being described as Barnabas or Simon. It's other names too. But most popularly, Acts 13:1, Simon of Cyrene, North Africa. That's the region, the Roman term for that area in Libya, before even the word Africa is being thrown around, to be honest. But still, the continent, you know what I'm saying, is something we got to take into context when people try to just say, Africa, Negro, and then not act like these people are civilized that have, or civilizations that have ties to any of those religious ideas. So we're going to get into it. Tap in. Let's go, God. Tap in with us. Let's go.
Double S drifter, separate sipping, and you know I came with it if she cute with it. So it's
do you trust me in my phone? Now she trying to get me through the day. And whenever I start to feel alone, I just play your voicemail that I say before things change. Now I read the message you sent, trying to tune out when you say I know you love me, but you should just forget about us.
This could take quite a bit of time.
Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces. How the fuck you bummy and broke but a pair of races? My lineage free people of color with a left make each nigga. This right here maroon, now it ain't burgundy. If you plotting murder, I'm certain that you'll need surgery. Hurt from when the burner squeeze. Protecting tribe business. Only consulting with governments tried to tribe with it. Please don't confuse us with those considered native. Semi-autonomy never was in our nature. Just address me as Estelusti. Wild Indian status and Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black forces the same color the European. Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folk. But you never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Knew the value of that.
And they knew that at that time, that Indians looked how you looked.
Yes,
you understand?
And like what you look like.
Exactly, because many of us, yes, some of us were brought from Africa, but many of us were already
here.
We're already here, and to believe this story that they were so industrious to be able to get millions of us to come over there, and it's just ridiculous. So the fact that little jewel, when you drop that jewel in there, and was like, and you said an Indian freedman, because I've done his. I'm sure your phone just rang.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That's
all right. I know when the phone rings. I'm sure. So I've done like, I had a sister that was doing ancestry like research, but through records and shit like that. You know?
Yeah, ancestry.com is very good with the records.
Right.
Not the DNA, the place where you come from.
I'm not talking about DNA.
They're great with the records.
The records.
Yeah.
This is the way where you can really trace some shit. So when you start to trace a lot of shit, like when I go back on my mother's side, or especially like one of my cousins, he did a trace to his family that was in Florida, and it says that they were free black people, like multiple, like, and way back, it's saying that specifically that they were free people. So this story about all of us being slaves even is a whole
Hollywood story
misnomer as well. And I just thought that was a great jewel to put in there. I also liked your I wonder your casting choice as for picking Stacey Dash as your wife.
Nobody would. I went out to the Viola Davises. I went out to who I thought my friends, but because of my visit to the White House, I was blackballed. Nobody wanted to touch me.
We got
it. And she was the only actress. I went, I'm not gonna say all the names, but the usual suspects that you know.
Dear Dr. K, I used to think I was never meant to be beautiful. You work within my budget
some actors that I've worked with, that you've seen me work with. Suddenly, the agents were telling me they weren't available or I didn't have enough money for them. So, and I didn't. But she came through. I wrote her scenes. I wrote them and gave it to the writer, who's actually a Corsicana chief of police. And she did a great job. But she got beat up for being a conservative, and then she kind of lost it.
Right.
And was punished for it. And then she didn't want to support the movie, which hurt the movie because she forgot that people love you as, clueless. They love you as a thick fan, but she didn't believe me. And she did a lot of stuff that kind of hurt the movie because when black people saw that she was in the movie, they just kind of threw the movie away because they were so pissed off at her.
Let's put a pin right there, right? Because we have a super chat. First of all, this is from the brother Lord Hybrid. Okay, big up to Lord Hybrid. Now he brings up a great point here. He said, "No black appointments from Trump, and it's black people's fault." He said blacks tore down any black person who met with Trump. Jim Brown fought for blacks his whole life, and blacks tore him down just for meeting with Trump. Now we do not have any blacks in position. Thank you, Lord Hybrid. Now, that speaks to exactly what you're saying. People didn't want to work with you because you were conservative. They got on her because she was conservative. I got a fucking whole bunch of heat recently for coming out as a conservative and being in support of Trump and being against Kamala with all this liberal progressive nonsense. What do you think about that comment right there? And again, thank you, Lord Hybrid.
I will say, and I don't care if people like it, unfortunately, the RNC, Michael Watley, possibly the Trumps, have been burned by the Omarosas and the Candace Owens. They've been burned by black people that they've helped recently in the conservative movement. So I can understand that they probably don't trust Negroes that much no more, man. I don't think it's personal. It's just that people that got in that he put on turned on him. A lot of people, Rob Smith, a lot of people that get into don't get what they want. They don't get the bag. Then they turn on him. But the thing with me, I don't need your money. I don't want your money, bro. I want to do the right thing. That's why I dragged Pastor Scott for 8 hours. And a lot of conservatives got mad that we shouldn't be airing our dirty laundry. I'm like, but you gatekeeping. You gatekeeping, and you may be back on that stuff because your teeth falling out your head, bro. You don't look good. And I know you don't have Trump's ear like that because he don't trust you. He gave you $100 million and you blew it. That's what people don't know. So he has empowered black people and they blew it. Even his girl Lynn Patton, she falls off of God. She struggles with drug addiction. So I just think that it's just that the people who happen to be black that they tried to put on burned them. So like anybody, even my family, my family is blackly black, but they burned me. So I got tired of kicking it down to them. Then they talk shit on me, even if I just gave them everything. They still talk shit on me. So I don't think that it's about him just like not really want to mess with all black people. It's just certain black people haven't showed the best behavior and not just blind loyalty. It's just they just haven't done the job. They just wanted to take and run. And we know that in our own community. And there's a lot of white people and Latinos like that too. They don't give a fuck about Trump. We knew that in the first election. They all just wanted to be there. Anthony Scaramucci, they didn't care. They just wanted to be on the thing. And whether he acknowledged me, it's a fun tweet, but I don't need him to do what I've already done because again, I've already started that movement. My first time out as a director, and I'm going to keep doing it with or without any accolades and support from him. I've been doing it for 30 years. I just threw it out there and said it would be not, because you got a lot of people coming out, but you don't see Byron McDonald yet. And people want to say that he's not FDA, he's whatever, but he's a sharp cat. So, we will see. But I don't need identity politics for this man. I need this motherfucker to go put these other dirty motherfuckers in check. That's all he could do for me. I don't need him to like me. This makes sure I get all my money and cut these goddamn taxes.
See, a lot of people talk about, oh, Trump is a bad guy, da da da. Listen,
right.
Sometimes,
I don't care.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you.
Sometimes you need a dirty motherfucker to do a dirty job. Okay?
Right.
This is a dirty fucking job that
man.
you have to do dealing with this U.S. government. They call it a swamp for a reason. Swamp
bro.
is not a cleanly place.
No,
okay?
bro.
That's not a place you wear your tuxedo to. It's going to get fucked up if you go in the swamp, okay? It might be alligator holes, all kind of mud and fucking gook is in the swamp.
Look, I need them. I got, I was trying to get off my cigars. I got my liquor sticks, man, to get me off this COVID habit. I've been smoking, puffing, not in hell, but sucking on these goddamn American Spirit cigarettes. So I have blind nose, right? So when I come in the house, my wife's like you 60 years old now and you smoking? You've never been a smoker. You smoke weed, you smoke cigars. I didn't like that, but I got blind nose on there. But you can't come in my house smelling like no pack of cigarettes. So I have blind nose. So what we need our people, my black people. We need y'all to get some blind nose with Trump. It's not about liking him. It's just like Ambassador Andrew Young told me. He only became the ambassador because they wanted him to go deal with my Baba, my mentor. I haven't talked to him in a while, Obasanjo, who was a dictator in Nigeria and got elected twice, right? He says, look, they told him, not to be cruel, he says, the only reason they made me an ambassador because they want a nigga to go get a nigga. All right? So I want this nigga Trump to go get these other white niggas. Put them in jail. Go get them. You know who they are because they done blew at you twice.
You heard what he said?
Like a dog.
He a celebrity too, by the way.
Right.
Hey.
And now they try to get you on your own golf.
Pause. Before we go to the next joint, I listened to this joint. It's a long joint. Can you put that in the chat for everybody that might want to, that's live? Can you put it out? Yeah, you moving fast. Hey, God of Green be trigger happy. You heard me? Bang, bang. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no pressure. But you heard it though. You can go watch the clip if you know about Lord Jamar, and obviously you can, Google or YouTube that, and it should pop up if you want to watch the whole thing. It's pretty nice, interesting conversation tied to certain things that we talking about with identity politics, right? And what we've seen in this campaign year, and how, to me, it's just interesting with identity politics, and how I know a lot of people are aligning themselves off their identity of being labeled Black or Negro, and now later African American, popularly speaking. The ideal of that is also showing a heritage type of thing that's being presented to the Negro Black, that is tied to being, slavery. You know what I mean? It's always ADOS. Even Friedman is tied to an ideal that you broke away from something because you were freed from something. You weren't free before that. You know what I'm saying? In all those different cases, because you're tied to this term Negro, that politically Obama, when he was in power, just like Kamala Peoples went from Oriental to Asian American, meaning her mama, not her daddy, right? But her mama. See, people always try to lump things in, and that's another thing amongst us, identity politics. If your mama's one thing, your daddy's another thing, how do you now subscribe to telling yourself which one is more dominant of your ethnicity tied to your identity? You know what I'm saying? Underneath a nationality. Does that make sense? That makes sense what I'm saying, Pete? I mean, a white and black dynamic is a whole nother thing. You know what I mean? But what happens if y'all both dark skinned and you have a child, but y'all both come from different things outside of the systematic identity being labeled Black in a popular standpoint? You know what I mean? How do you deal with the fact of your own household, the culture, the heritage, if you have a religion or a creed, you know what I mean, tied to your identity, you're building with the child that you're having between the two of you, male and female, of your identities tied to your heritage outside of the politics, right? Because your household ain't tied to politics. Am I wrong? God, am I wrong? P, am I wrong? So that was a very interesting thing that I see that I had to point out. That's what maybe even my bad guy. That's why I would maybe be like, you know what, we're gonna have to really talk about this identity politics because on social media it's gotten crazy. And then I'm looking at all the concepts of it. It made me like stop from doing a historical build or anything, because this is a historical build in itself if you don't catch it right now. Because it's happening right now. You know what I'm saying? This in the last, let's say, 8 Obama. I'm gonna say Obama time frame. You know what I mean? So anybody that's, you know, from your 20s in Obama, you were voting in the time frame of Obama, 08, and now let's say you were 21 when Obama came in office. That means right now you would be like 37 years old. You know what I mean? You were influenced from identity politics before you even understood politics or civil situations that the school system might not have taught you, right? College might not have taught you that shit, but you just caught up in the politics and the ideals of the trendy things that celebrities and different things we've seen even then, right? Because people talk about, we don't know if he's locked up or not, right? Did he? I don't know. Sometimes I hear shit that people with the tinfoil hat say he ain't there, but I'm saying after him getting locked up, we should just understand that anybody can go look up that when Obama was running, Diddy was the one with the mohawk and everything at that time, running marathons in New York. You know what I'm saying? Getting key to the cities and all that shit, and telling everybody, just like Russell Simmons too. Russell Simmons ain't even in America no more. When last time you even heard about Russell Simmons as a celebrity? You know what I mean? But at that time, he still told you when Obama ran that you should leave Negro alone, African American, right? I don't know if anybody remembers that politics at that time, dealing with your identity to promote this black man, my president black, Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? Let's play the next clip though. I just want to just point these things out before we get into the bill. Oh, we got a bill. Shout out to Mike David. What up, Mac? What up to you too, dog? Why Trick Daddy? Actually, we just talked about Trick, dog. We're trying to get Trick, to pull up on us for this conversation dealing with that Geechee. I ain't gonna lie. He down in my area. I'm gonna try to in the new year see if we can make that happen. It's the holidays. I ain't gonna try to do it right now, but we're gonna try to get with Trick about that Geechee shit soon. You heard me? But yeah. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? What's the question here? I was on there that night when Trick Daddy was in the comments and went live. It was funny. That's my guy from New Orleans. All right, shout out to you, David. You heard me? Appreciate you for tapping in. Let's play a couple more clips so we can get into it though, because I got some shit to show y'all tonight. I want y'all thoughts on it. You know what I mean? I want you to tap in with us. You heard me? I ain't gonna be biased. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Esther Lusty, all my maroons outside. Maranatha to you. And guess what? That might not be tied to what you're dealing with, but still, I say that in a matter of intentions of peace and harmony and love when I reach out to anybody that's tapped in what we doing, no matter how you describe to your identity and your creed. But when it comes to your politics and identity, I think people got it all confused. They've been mixing the dope up. You heard me? They've been mixing the dope up. You heard me? I got to be honest with this. Go ahead, tap in. Let's go.
We are now in a state of a great deception, where facts are not facts and reality is perception. And everything you read on your feed is feed. And politicians cross party lines to keep us deceived. You see, historically, black people have been traditional, but white Democrats say blacks have to be liberal. So we adopt a co-op trying to avoid a fall. But if you handpicked our choice, that's not a choice at all. And what about Republicans? They just want to divide us. Yes, they're racist too, but they don't pretend to like us. So we don't pretend to be friends or fester by their feet. The only thing worse than a wolf is one dressed like a sheep. So you can be a sheep and go sleep with the shepherd. But regardless of what you hide, they both support genocide. They both support assigned bills that kill black and brown children. Replace gravestones with luxury homes and buildings. It's gross how they netting and Benjamin search Yahoo for the brazen fundraising to push imperialism. They use a war machine that's worth trillions to colonize civilians and spread materialism. Remember, we are now in a state of a great
raising up to be men.
I have that right. If I don't like somebody doing something that a woman does, that is a woman trait, I'm going to have something to say about it. You might as well get used to it. What is a woman trait? Your hair, your nails, your toes. That is a woman trait that's been a trait since the 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s. What we looked at women as, she got some beautiful nails. So when me, as a person, listen to these people talking about slaying iron and shit, but you won't paint your nails and do all this other shit, you're double dipping. That is a woman trait. A woman already got to battle up against all these other girls on Instagram. You got to battle against all these other people. Why you got to battle against a man? And why the women ain't saying nothing about it? The women, I got a voice. I'm saying, I know I look like I'm in everybody big. But if you say something about it, you don't look the same way. But it's no woman. It's no woman out there with a voice saying something about a man coming in bed with nails like her. Because if it's cool, it's cool. If it's cool, you gotta let it be cool. If you ain't gonna say that. If it's cool, it's cool. Because you know why? If it's cool, then when your son asks to paint his nails, mama gotta go paint his nails. So we gonna ask him, is it cool with all the parents out there when your child asks you? Because all his favorite people who he look up to, all of them got it. So next he coming to mama. Mama, can I get my nails done? What you gonna say, Carisha?
What I would say is, I have said something before in the past, and I feel like you have to accept people for who they are. And I think that you're raised that it's wrong. But life is
Yes,
life.
I am.
Life
I'm
is
a Southern
life.
Baptist.
Everybody is different in life.
I'm a Southern Baptist, I will say.
At the end of the day, that's a pastor. You grew up in the
No,
church?
my grandfather was a pastor.
You grew up in the church?
I grew up in the church. I'm born in the crack area. You had to go to church, or you would be on crack. You had to go to church. Ladies and not everybody went to church. You right. I'm a Southern Baptist. I feel a certain way about a lot. I was raised a certain way.
Yeah, so I think that's like, we was church, But I think that when you grow, you get older and wiser, everybody is different in life. Nobody's the same. You gotta love people for who they are.
I do. I mean, I love people. I have gay people in my family. I just don't condone the issue. It's not coming. I'm raising a generation.
So when your daughter came out and told you she was gay,
it was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter is grown.
Well, why? She's grown.
Because I don't want it to contaminate her others. It's a generation we raised. I don't want her to get contaminated to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her. I want them to bring me grandchildren the right way.
Yeah, Boosie crazy.
If I want grandchildren the right way, that's what I'm going to stand on. If I don't want my other little girl to look at that and say, what's that, Daddy?
Contaminated.
To somebody she looks up to, it's not going to come around. My grandpa didn't let it. My daddy didn't let it. And I didn't let it. I just hope the one under me, when they take this throne, they don't let it. Because that's not what our family believe in. Like you say, we Southern Baptists. I love me and my daughter relationship like this. But when she understands everything, she know Daddy don't go, she know. But that's what she chooses to do. But she know we don't go for that. I'm like Whitney Houston mama. That shit gonna stay over there.
Francis around Strickland. Basketball game coming on and shit. You heard me tap in. Look at that dunk. Who else Steve Francis?
Other civilizations built. Loot what they built, pillage, steal, even steal their ideas and their concepts and their philosophies. And then you sit on top of this mountain of stolen goods and declare yourself to be rich because of your own merit. And imagine telling this lie to your children, to your own children, to your grandchildren, generation after generation. How do you think that's going to go? You didn't invest in creating actual merit. You cheated, you lied, you stole, you brutalized. And then you tell your own people that everyone else in the world has nothing and you have everything because of how much better you are than everyone else. How long is that lie sustainable? I mean, these are people who actually have civilizations, who actually created and built and accomplished and didn't just pillage and plunder. And there's still those people today, even though you have oppressed them, there's still those same people. And you're still the way you are. I mean, a good example actually is African Americans. I don't know if you can think of a people who were more held back, more deprived, more sabotaged than African Americans. You took everything away from them and took them away from everything. They started in your country at less than zero, literally regarded and treated as subhuman, not allowed to learn to read or write or anything for hundreds of years. I mean, imagine
that shit.
This part right here, the interview with Dr.
What the
Phil.
dude just said is a real shit now. You know, because today, even though you have the right to read, I think that's something that, you know, you and your family households, even though we got social media and all these things, you should instill into your children to really read on their own, even if it's something that they're involved in wanting to read. At least read about it so they can know what they're reading and not go off of what somebody tells them. To whatever topic or whatever skill set or whatever mastery of that child, male or female, goes into, you want them to know about that situation. And if they read it on their own, it'd be way better than somebody telling them. You know what I'm saying? I think that's always going to be the case. And we have been held back dealing with literacy and understanding how to read. You know what I mean? And understand etymology even, because even today, people in this conscious shit that we can get ready to go into too a little bit, they read, but then they don't comprehend. You know what I mean? When they say that, oh, you comprehend at a third grade level, because you read it, you might understand what the word means, but it don't mean you comprehend what the word really meant and how it applies to you. So if you identify a certain way, knowing what he just said about a Negro being held back on purpose from being able to be tied into law and certain things civically, and understand how to govern themselves and comprehend that part from reading it, because it's been kept from them, and all they're in the position of is a worker. They like to say slave. You heard me? But you know, indentured or whatever the case might be. We're gonna go into all that tonight. Now, I promise you. We're gonna tap in. Let's go tap in.
So,
give me a little segue in
this.
between here.
Look at this map. I did a show about this.
Peep this though.
The red is where Chinese government has funded buying major farmland.
Yeah.
And then superimposed on that are some of our most strategic military bases. And you can see there's Dugway Proving Ground. That's military equipment, biological, chemical weapons. They're surrounding it. Utah Test Training Range, the largest supersonic authorized restricted airspace in the United States. Whiteman Air Force Base, B-2 Spirit Stealth Bomber Base, missile drone operations, MQ-9 Reaper, Global Strike Command 3, Fort Liberty, Airborne Special Operations Forces, Rapid Deployment. We've allowed them to come in and buy up agricultural land, wind farms, no wind, no blades on some of the towers, but they're surrounding our military bases. Right. We've allowed that to take place.
Why is nobody talking about this part right here of the interview with Dr. Phil? Y'all watch this.
Me
Look
too.
at this
I
map.
understand that too.
I did a show about this. The red is where.
No, it's good. No, we right though. Why ain't nobody paid attention to that interview that Trump had with Dr. Phil about Chinese people buying up land in America around bases and around places with toxic nuclear situations? You know what I'm saying? When the average American, no matter your ethnicity, you know what I'm saying, that's living in the country, you know, You're common people, common folk, right? You're not buying land around them places. You know what I mean? You're just trying to live your life and raise your children, right? But it's foreign folk coming in though, and you think that the foreign folk just buying up land in the area for no reason? Where do they get the money from to even buy the land up like that? Where there's no development for them to sell Chinese food or some shit that y'all know them for, right? You know what I'm saying? What you know Chinese food and besides food in America, y'all? Anybody know what real estate or what economic situations besides what you see when you buy, they good fried rice and shit like that? Cause I ain't gonna lie, I got a spot around the corner. They be hitting. You hear me, God? I ain't gonna front. They got black folk working and all, bitch. You hear me? But at the same time, I got to be real. When it comes to that though, what are you doing? Ain't nobody asking questions. We too liberal to ask the questions about that, but you're worrying about some other things, right? I think we mixing the dope and we confused of what's going on in you say country, you know what I'm saying? Based off your ethnicity, the Negro, right? You know what I'm saying? But you got folk. Hey, when Biden came in office in 2020 and beat Trump, remember at the ceremony in January, he had them Chinese people sitting around him. Anybody remember that? They had the mask on at the time. Remember that shit, right? But they were there. I don't know. You can go back and look at the clip. I mean, I remember seeing it. I'm just saying, I remember seeing it. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? It was Chinese folk there, and he just pointed that out. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I mean, things that people might not, look at. I just want to point that clip out. We can go to the next joint. We're almost done. Oprah, man, what's going on with Oprah? Cause real quick, I seen some shit. Oprah said something on dealing with Kamala Harris in the campaign, and I mean, what she said about Kamala, when you watch this clip right here, what she talking to Trump about before he even thinking about in this time frame about running. It's just something I want people to think about. That's why I put these clips out there. It's like the things that go viral that I see. You know what I mean? There's other things, and it correlates to the conversation we about to have and sources we about to go through. So I want to lighten it up so y'all can see, these are things I see during the week that impact even the conversation or the topic that we're having right now. You know what I mean? So tap in. There you go.
Last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me. And I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings and we're not.
What do you think of this year's presidential race, the way it's shaping up?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I think that probably George Bush has an advantage in terms of the election. I think that probably people would say that he's got like that little edge in terms of the incumbency, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Jesse Jackson's done himself very proud. I think Michael Dukakis has done one hell of a job. And George Bush has done a hell of a job. They all went in there sort of as semi-underdogs, including George Bush, and they've all come out. I think people that are around all three of those candidates can be very proud of the jobs they've done.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing. This country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
There you go. Now, again, for a person at that time, I looked 88. You know what I'm saying? I was 9 years old in 88. You heard me, y'all? You know what I'm saying? I was 9 years old in 88. Do your mathematics. I know where you was at in 88. And actually, my dad was in the military and being transferred to Okinawa, Japan. You hear me? I just got to say that to y'all, right? In 88, when Trump is talking to Oprah, you get a call, you get a call, you get a call. You hear me? But at the same time, the energy different. You know what I'm saying? From what she even saying then to what we seen her say in the campaign about the same man. You hear me? What made that happen? I guess I would call it, it's tied to identity politics, right? Right? Think about that. I don't want anybody in the chat disagree. I mean, would it not be with your racial, ethnic group of people and the social things that you're tied to and the genders tied to those things underneath the national origin of being American, of the identity politics of America, because it's not tied to any other nation of people. You know what I'm saying? Can they blame this identity politics on anybody else? I mean, that's something I want to point out. We can slide. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. 88. You know what I'm saying? I was just in Japan. I was going to Japan in 88. 88. Oh, you talking about Prodigy and Jay-Z battle. Hey, people that go back that time. Yeah, boom boxes and shit. In Japan, they had the boom boxes, and their boom boxes were like 2 years ahead of American boom boxes. You heard me? So most of the black folk that was coming over there, that you know what I mean, they were bringing their shit from over there and into America. I remember that shit vividly. You know what I'm saying? Identity politics though. We're gonna get to a source. You know what I mean? We played all the clips. We only for a second. You know what I mean? Just to open up. And again, shout out to everybody that's live with us. You hear me? And everybody that tap in afterwards. It's always Maranatha to you. You hear me? Politics in which groups of people having particular racial, now peep me now, racial, religious, ethnic, social, or cultural identity tend to promote their own specific interests or concerns without regard to the interests or concerns of any larger political group. Now, understanding identity politics, that means the Negro, labeled by Obama, tied to politics when he did it, because it's tied to a political document, right? Anybody disagree? God, P, in the room? I want to make sure we live, because in the chat too, I'm going to give you a second. Can we know, people talk about Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson, when he ran, the term African American was thrown around. Would you agree? God, agreeing if I'm tripping? Everybody should know, like when Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Coalition and shit, right? But it wasn't official though. You know what I'm saying? Now look, when I say identity politics based off this term, even when we go back to 1790, the first census of United States of America, this term African American was not on the census politically dealing with anybody, was enumerated, labeled a Negro based off of the time frame, or colored people, free, indentured, or enslaved, or white people, or any other ethnicity, because there was only a couple categories. If you go research that in 1790 census, right, God? How many categories was there in 1790 for an ethnicity within the national origin of a people? What, white, free people of color, right? And then they knew the Indians, right? Just grab that for me, because I want to point that out so we can get that right for everybody in here. Identity politics and the ethnogenesis of this conversation based off of a system that's enumerating people based off of a census record for those who they can count. That's where enumeration is tied to enumerate somebody. And when they say integrate or assimilate based off of you now being enumerated within a system, a jurisdiction, from federal to state to county to city. You know what I'm saying? To tribal. Enumerate. Are you counting your folks that's dealing with you? Do you know who really with you or what? Enumerate how many subscribers you have. How many examples I got to give you? I don't know. But it say though, okay, yeah. So 1790, That's the categories across the top. All right, it says free white males of 16 years and upward, free white males under 16 years old, free white females, all other free persons, slaves, and then it says slaves percentage number. You know what I mean? Okay, don't mention that. Okay, all right. So those are the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 categories. 6 categories. 1790. 1790. 6 categories now. Now all them other free people. You see how the system of United States Constitution. Anybody can go back to this 1790. Culturally, them same people that's in that all other colored. It became a popular term. And then when in that, Negro became a popular term for free, those free. And then obviously the system of those who had the willpower to, and before 1790, set up institutions based off how they didn't want to delineate themselves culturally and religiously, might have used the term to prefix in front of them being of a national origin. Is everybody following me? God, am I tripping? If you're going to stop me if I'm tripping tonight. You know what I mean? From what we've researched to this situation, I mean, I want to make sure that I lay it out like that, because the definition and then when you put the history with it and then you understand your lineage and your genealogy, and if you have a mixture, if you feel whatever case it might be, when you go into the system, though, being enumerated, whatever you feel your people were going into 1790, being in the country that just, came about 1775, 76 as a new nation, right? Nation, right? 1775, 76, right? Nation, right? Ain't no term African involved on that enumeration. You know what I'm saying? And there was people in this document that you just told me to read off that were free. That today they label Africans, like Richard Allen, right? Absalom Jones, all these people tied to the churches and things that's in the North, they're not slaves, but they're in that category you just mentioned, right, God? That you told me to read. So there's no category. To count how it is today is evolved. And it evolved, in an evolution of things. Obama, in 2012, I think it was, second term. Because he was talking all that good shit to me when I was thinking about indigenous and the black and the Negro and the colored thing. And how he a black man, he posed to general terms, black man. But in the situation of him understanding how to delineate dealing with the people, well, we're being Pacific, dealing with a national origin at this point. We're not dealing with a whole bunch of other people later on when he's talking about what he's talking about. And it seems like identity politics, a lot of our people don't understand that situation. You know what I mean? God, am I tripping? They don't seem to understand that. Like, if he changed what Kamala Harris, we're going to show you this to you, mama is, because a lot of people going to debate, daddy was Jamaican. Jamaica is still a national origin term. It's not tied to an ethnicity. Am I wrong, P? Haiti is not tied to a ethnicity. It's tied to a nation, right? It's many ethnicities, right? And mixtures of people within now that nation. Not complexion, you know what I mean? Racial things we get involved in. Yeah, thank you, appreciate you. And then as God it points out on the 1790 census, free white referred to a person who was considered white, not enslaved, meaning they were not considered a slave and were free to live without being owned by another person. This category primarily included European immigrants, and their descendants living in the United States at that time. It didn't say white skin at all one time in that immigration ideal of the first, being that, Benjamin Franklin, matter of fact, pointed out that the immigration prior to 1790 of people coming in to this country were being labeled swarthy based off his ideal of what it is. You know what I mean? And so that means that there's plenty of people. We're going to show that. I'm going to give that example because he mentioned one of the nations that somebody came into that was still being described by a racial standpoint, we call, racist things, the term Negro. We're gonna give you examples tonight with this. I'm gonna give you an example, case law or shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that people are like really getting, too hyperactive about things that don't really lawfully make sense, dealing with your nationality, your ethnicity, your culture, your creed. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Are you departmentalizing these things? Because you might share certain things with certain people, but then you don't got the same creed as them. And you might share certain other things with them, but culturally, you ain't got the same shit to them because of the region that you live in. You know what I'm saying? You might be described as the same thing as somebody, but you ain't immigration wise, you got different things going on. You know what I mean? Feel me, Pete? Like, nigga, there's a whole bunch of layers to this shit. This shit ain't no superficial, you know what I mean? Now we just black. Just even when you get to the context, understand that what we call nationality, which is tied to identity politics, right? Anybody disagree, tell me I'm tripping. This is what I want to point out. So I want that to stand there for a second. You could put that in the chat for the folk, so they won't think that we made up the word and what it correlates to. Because I think everything I just said correlates to this definition. You know what I'm saying? And I think people are caught up in complexion in the 21st century. And complexion really ain't got nothing still to do with your national origin. The Immigration Act of 1965, which is tied to the Nationality Act as well. Look it up, 1965. Yeah, it ain't got nothing to do with that because they break down that there's ethnicities, complexions, meaning race, as they call it today, and obviously too, whatever religion they're tied to. You know what I'm saying? That are immigrating in from after 1965, right? And whatever your culture might be too as well. Some people just seem to want to just make this all be one thing because of their wokeism of some, different. I don't know what to call that shit because it's pseudo this and pseudo that to me at this point. Pull up, give it to it. Let's give it to the folks. Let's give it to them. Let's slide. This is how Americans, us, be American. How America's identity politics went from inclusion to division. I thought it was a great article. And it kind of summed up some things, time wise, we ain't gonna be here for but at the same time, political tribalism, because for my folks that's tribal out there, you know what I'm saying, tap in, has reached a new peak. Because this definitely, I would agree, in this lady, Amy Schumer, in her new book, and it leaves the US in a new peerless situation. Did I pronounce that word right? Thank you. I want to make sure I'm getting better. Guys. I'm getting better. Slide down. For the first time in U.S. history, why Americans, check this, that's why I picked this one. This is interesting. White Americans are faced with the prospect of becoming a minority in their own country. What's the country? That would have to be North America, right? Huh? What country they talking about? They talking about United States, right? They talking about an origin of a nation jurisdictional situation because of immigration. Anybody disagree? Right? Of people based off white supremacy would say that they're now, no matter what they look at it from their perspective, anybody understand what white supremacy is, you know what I'm saying? And its origin are discriminating against anybody that's not of their origin. You know what I mean? Meaning ethnicity, like Anglo-Saxon. You know what I mean? Because even the Italians and the Irish are being discriminated against, you know what I'm saying? Even if they had a pale skin. And their culture and their religion was different from them. You know what I'm saying? They show that in the mob movies. You know what I'm saying? They showed that in the mob movies. I don't know if anybody watched mob movies back in the day, but they showed you that shit. However, though, in the situation of this context of breaking down this conversation, this build, however you might take it, you heard me? But you here though with it, so we're gonna check it out, because the sources are there. Borrowing of America as a welcome step away from white supremacy, it is safe to say that large numbers of American whites are more anxious about this phenomenon, whether they admit it or not. Tellingly, a 2012 study showed that more than half of white Americans believe that whites have replaced blacks as the primary victims of discrimination. Meanwhile, the coming demographic shift has done little to ally minority concerns about discrimination. A recent survey found that 43% of Black Americans do not believe America will ever make the changes necessary to give Blacks equal rights. Most disconcertingly, hate crimes have increased 20% in the wake. I remember the word wake, woke, put the O there, right? Woke, wake. All right. Of the 2016 election. That is the time frame when Trump, you know what I mean, came into office, right? You know why? Because people had identity politics issues, they were saying, because how they went through 8 years of dealing with a Black president. You know what I'm saying? You remember that? I don't even want to remember that. Maybe you're not conscious of it or woke about it or aware. However, though, it's just when groups feel threatened, they retreat into tribalism. When groups feel mistreated and disrespected, they close ranks and become more insular. You might want to look that word up. More defensive, more punitive, more us versus them. In America today, every group feels that, excuse me, I said that, that's my, me, this way to come. I see, look, I'm doing them all, I'm freestyling. Way to some extent, whites, Blacks, Latinos, and Asians, men and women, Christians, Jews, and Muslims, straight people and gay people, liberals and conservatives, all feel their groups are being attacked, bullied, persecuted, discriminated against. You know what I'm saying? It's being non-biased. That's why I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can say I'm trying to, I'm talking to y'all. You hear me? You've been labeled the Negro, right? Most cases that follow our platform, you know what I mean, in America. But I ain't discriminating anybody that tapped in that's not. You know what I'm saying? By the way, shout out to y'all. Peace to y'all too. Veronica. But at the same time, of course, one group claims feeling threatened and voiceless are often met by another group. Derision. Is that the right word? DER. Why that shit jump like that? Oh. That shit, I swear my eyes, maybe, boy, I knew I need glasses. New Year, I'm getting glasses, y'all. Derision, I said it right. What is that word? I ain't really thought about it, even though I pronounced it right. That's why, even when I say I keep it real with y'all, I don't be saying these words every day. Anybody, because I want y'all to know if you don't have to fake with me, if you know the word. If you know the word, put it in the chat. I don't know the word. I ain't gonna lie. Why would I lie? See, that's what people got to be honest about. Every word that you come across in the dictionary, you don't know what it is. Why not look it up when you read it? You know what I'm saying? I like to do that. That's what me. It actually is an educational thing in itself. What it is? Contentious ridicule, or mockery. All right, so I'm gonna put that back in the sentence. Of course, one group's claims to feel threatened and voiceless are often met by another group's derision. I said it right, which is ridicule or mockery. Oh, there's a lot of that shit going on. He used the big. Hey, that person was slick in this article with that shit. I want to point that out though, because I ain't gonna never use that word before in my context. You know what I mean? That's not a word I use every day. Nigga, like I say mockery, nigga. You trying to mock me? I would never say it derision. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, this is the words you were using. So, however, because it discounts their own feelings of persecution. Funny enough, persecution is tied to something, tied to a group of people that originally tied to this term Negro went through a persecution, guy. You feel me? And it's political, right? Because all the documents you come up with are political documents dealing with a persecution tied to the term Negro, right? Funny enough, though, but such it's political tribalism. They call it political tribalism. So at this day and time, we can basically say, because when I looked at that damn, shout out to Monte, homeboy with the notes, when he went over the Democratic Party, I don't know, he might y'all didn't read it, but there's a whole bunch of groups underneath the Democratic Party. You hear me? Yeah. And got what they might say NGOs, right? Right. You remember that shit? And that's political tribalism. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you can ante up more money than this other group, then your things are going to be put in the forefront to highlight what even though the principal understanding of what the party is about, you got these tribal political ideals that are influencing because of like lobbyists and shit like that. You can go do your own math on that time. But this combined with the record levels and inequality. Now, again, when I think about inequality, could mean the title of this shit is Negro. dealing with this political talk. I got to put us in the American ideal of it, though, because I think that still we're the ones that have dealt with the most inequalities. Even the white dude we just played in a minute just said that, right? Like the person they are labeling African Americans have gone through the most. You know what I mean? Inequalities in this nation called America, right? That's even from the start of 1775. You feel me? That's even the fact that we predate the nation being started in a country. Like people like to say Africa is a country, right? You know what I'm saying? How to describe people in the country and the ethnicities in the country. But America, USA, with the dots in between, that's a nation. North America. So in this political identity of breaking down, spectrum, because this is an acronym I want to break down. And you see that word spectrum enough? This combined with record levels of inequality is why we now see identity politics on both sides of the political spectrum. And we have an acronym over here we're going to share with y'all tonight. It's tied to this term spectrum, like the 5%. Lord Jamar will appreciate this. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that's tied to hip hop will appreciate the Autonomous Party doing acronyms on these terms. You know what I mean? Which is the S is for social, the P is for political, the E is for economics, the C is for culture, the T is for trust, the R is for being the word re, the U is for united. And shout out to my Maroons outside, shout out to my Maroons, the M, you hear me? But at the same time, because we've been marooned from all those other terms of trust, being reunited with things that we've been left out of. You feel me, God? Am I making sense to y'all outside? Or we not on the same page of what this identity politics dealing with who I'm talking to y'all about? I ain't really worried about everybody else. But I'm going to put them in the same comparison of being of the national origin, being called American. But we still are leading in the inequalities, the injustices, or the discriminations of the religious, discrimination and all that shit. You know what I mean? You've been, kept from doing things. Your indigenous side to your foreign side, wherever it is, Negro. Yeah. Yeah, I want to make sure I put that down. I want to put that down. But again, and it leaves the United States in a perilous new situation. Almost no one is standing up for an America without identity politics. Very interesting. For an American identity that transcends and unites all countries, many subgroups. This is a very interesting article. I like how they put it together, though. Keep going, guys. This is the good one because we're going to slide through a lot of the rest of them. I'm going to give you examples how this foundation is being laid. You heard me? And it says, this is certainly true of American left. Now, remember, the left, you heard this in the political time frame, because I ain't taking sides, but the left, that's the Democrats, right? I'll make sure anybody clear. That's the Democrats. All right, so the American left, identity politics. It's definitely tied to that. You know what I'm saying? Because we just showed that when we showed the first census in 1790, it didn't have no identities really, did it? It didn't tell you that it had status, not identity as far as ethnicity though. We don't know if that person that's a slave is a black or white person. We don't know. Now they are identifying them white folk though, 1790. You know what I mean? The white, it says white though. I'm saying it says the term white. Could it be Christian, or is it a status, or is it a racial category? You know what I mean? From people that might get confused.
It's free white referred to a person who was considered white and not enslaved.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Say that again. Read it again. Say it again.
On the 1790 census, free white, in quotations, referred to a person who was considered white and not enslaved, meaning they were considered a slave. They were not considered a slave and were free to live without being owned by another person.
Okay. I want to make sure.
They were not considered a slave.
Okay.
Right?
Uh-huh. I'm with you.
And they were free to live without being owned by another person. That was a free white person.
That part.
And they said nothing about skin color.
No skin color. Race.
Again, another status.
Status, not race. Right? I mean, Anybody go read over these things for themselves autonomously, you know what I mean? Tell us we tripping. They had gender. Gender, status. Now, the man-woman thing, we could point out. It's funny enough, right? That the gender thing today is pointing out really that reminiscences of things tied to genders from that time frame. And even going into the fact that in going into 1965, the white woman, because she's in a status, taking advantage of certain things we call the white supremacy, but it's still being treated by her own internal men of her gender class situation or an ethnicity, is treating her like us still going into 1965 based off that first census. You know what I mean? They took full advantage of it. I gotta just be honest, you know what I mean? Because they be trying to put this shit on us, and black women might not even know that, but like don't get caught up in they shit. Like they mad because they own dudes, they put them involved with them in an equality standpoint, because they looked at this situation as a time for them to run amok. You know what I mean? Like they didn't even treat their own women equally to them, gender wise. Not that wasn't a black man situation tied to that. Am I lying?
They use identity politics to basically undermine our political power.
That part. That's. I mean, these are things that you know.
They brought in the
Feminism. All these are things that are tied to the left.
They brought in the homosexual.
That's tied to the left. All that shit tied to the left. Tied to the left. Divided into groups and identity politics. To divide it up and to be able to lobby out to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you hear that. I hope you hear God agreeing with this now. He kicking gang. No.
You gay and you black.
That part. Yeah. That part. Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Next link. Let's go to the next joint. I think they got their point, but down. You can throw that in the chat too. You know what I'm saying? Before you let it slide, because you know how my clips go. You know what I'm saying? This is how the clips go. So I'm going to put it out there like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, identity politics is messed even with us the most, I think, because we're the ones lacking in getting redeemed or restitution or reparations or whatever you're doing on an individual, collective, or national level, what you think of what you're supposed to get based off your ethnicity within the national origin of being, like Martin Luther King said, you know, exiled in your own land and not getting certain resources like other groups are getting that are coming in, that are immigrating in after you, you know what I'm saying, into the nation of what we call United States of America, not the country, because people be mixing the dope. North America is tied to, you know, United States of America, not 3, 4, 5 different nations, like how, you know, Africa got many nations. You know what I'm saying? Pull up, tap in, check this guy out right here, and you know, let us know what you think in the chat. I had to play a clip. I got to keep it real. This is a good one. Tap in.
Somebody votes for it by asking about a cultural question. How do you feel about immigration? Or how do you feel about trans rights? And of course, people on both sides of the spectrum, but also certainly on the right, have tried to exploit issues of identity in order to win votes. I'm not concerned in general about the fact that we might talk about identity. I certainly am not against people asking for equal rights and equal treatment, for full inclusion in society when they've historically been marginalized. Where I start to worry is in the rise of a specific new ideology on significant parts of the left that no longer believes that we overcome those injustices by living up to universal principles that stand at the core of our political system, but rather say we should rip out those principles and make how we treat each other and how the state treats all of us explicitly depend on the kind of group into which we are born. My name is Yascha Munk. I'm a professor of the practice of international affairs at Johns Hopkins University, the founder of Persuasion and the host of a Good Fight podcast. And my latest book is called The Identity Trap, a story of ideas and power in our time.
It's a little bit I want to give you
in the identity
playing chess. Check this out. Tap in.
Trap, I write about the rise of this new ideology. Some people call it identity politics, but that I think is too broad to describe it. I suggested the identity synthesis, because this new set of ideas is essentially about the kind of role that identity categories like race and gender and sexual orientation should have in our society. And these ideas, I argue, are a synthesis of different intellectual strains, different intellectual origins, including postmodernism, postcolonialism, and critical race theory.
Race theory.
One of the really striking things is that there have barely been any serious attempts to tell the story of where these ideas come from.
Where they come
So
from?
I argue that this starts with the thought of Michel Foucault, a French thinker who worked in the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s in Paris. He thinks political power comes from political discourses, from the way we talk about things. And that is the way to challenge political power. Now, what was striking about this initial ideology is that you ended up with a lot of skepticism. Skepticism even about basic identity categories. And that skepticism was really appealing to a lot of thinkers whom Foucault inspired. You saw the thought of Indian literary scholar Gayatri Spivak. Spivak, too, was deeply influenced by postmodernist and poststructuralist thinkers, but she became quite worried about the rejection of identity in many of these works. When Michel Foucault, in an exchange with another famous French intellectual, said that intellectuals should no longer speak for others, that the workers in Paris can speak for themselves, Spivak was very worried about this because she said, look, that might be true of workers in Paris who have gone to school, who have some money, who have some political resources, but the most oppressed people in the world, the most marginalized, somebody has to speak for them. And to be able to speak for them, we need identity categories. And so
we need what? He said identity categories, right? That's almost going back to that census of 1790, right? The United States as a nation set up, right? Identity categories, which was really more based off of status, right? But today we in a whole nother time. You know what I mean? Boy, let me tell you, because some people trying to catch up and some people trying to go back and recollect certain things that's happened to their ancestry, especially the person labeled the Negro, that Obama and his progressive, Democrat liberal ideals of things, did something that a lot of people, appreciated, I would say. Going from Negro to African American, right? And then from Oriental to Asian American. I ain't gonna be biased. You know what I'm saying? He didn't just do it for one group. We're gonna slide though, because we gotta be woke to what's going to happen here. What he was talking about with identity and the transition of things. So this is something I've been paying attention to with this cultural, social, political, economic, cultural, and the public trust, goddamn, of all these things being infiltrated idea-wise into what we call a public trust that the average person seems not to understand fully about that civically at all either. You know what I'm talking about? But either way, wokeism. It says, what's the source? Because, people be, I'm going to use a source from Wikipedia later on. I don't want nobody to be mad at me. Say again? Dictionary.com. So everybody out there, but we're using this for this definition first, and Wikipedia going, so repeat, because they give a little more detail. You got to go do your own research. I ain't going to do all that for you tonight now. And usually disparaging promotion of liberal progressive ideology and policy as an expression of sensitivity. Sensitivity. Who had that song, God? That was Ralph Travis. I said his name wrong. I know. See, that's why you're here. But I know the song though. But either way, to systematic injustices and prejudices. You know what I mean? She worked for nearly a decade at the university before she finally tired of the influence of wokeism. Slide down. The only religion allowed around here is wokeism, he complained. That's interesting. I didn't even know wokeism was a religion. That's some new age shit, huh? Ism, like Islamism, right? You never know, huh? If Islamism is, most Americans that I know do subscribe to the term Islamism, even though the word Islam is just a term in the Arabic language, but they made it a religion, right? Right? Ecclesiastically, can we not say it's a fact? But either way, wokeism, woke. Now look how they put it on a certain group of people. That's what I want to point out first. You know, when I think about the Black Lives Matter thing and all that stuff, and the nuclear family that was brought up, but it wasn't really tied to a nuclear family because of certain things tied to wokeism, I'm gonna call it. You know what I mean? Because the African American English synonym, I don't even know that was a language. Anybody know? Anybody out here speak? That's Ebonics. So they call African American English Ebonics now. I ain't woke enough for that. God, I ain't know nothing, bruh. I swear. Anybody out there in the chat knew that? Because I don't know what an African American English is. But there it is. It's a set of English, sociolex. That's an interesting term. Spoken by most Black people in the United States and many in Canada. Most commonly, it refers to a dialect continuum ranging from African American vernacular English to a more standard American English. Interesting. I don't correlate myself doing that, but all right then. Because even in our regions, we don't all speak the same shit, ain't it, God? You know that shit? Anybody that's in this joint know if you've been labeled this term or even Negro that even we know language-wise, you know what I mean? P, you from Haiti in your origin. You've been here in America for how long now? And you went to school here and everything. You went to universities in different states and all, you know what I'm saying? We don't all speak the same. How you gonna put this in one monolithic? Anyways, though, however, see, I said monolithic, mono English, dealing with a group of people, ethnicity tied to a national origin, tied to their politics. But either way, wokeism now, peak game. General American English word awake has since the 1930s or earlier been used to refer to awareness of social and political issues affecting African Americans. Often in the construction, stay awake. I know, my bad. It's stay woke. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to be used to refer to broader awareness of social inequalities such as racial injustice, sexism. Interesting, I slid it up. And denial of the look right there. You see that? How it went from racial injustices, African Americans out there that's listening to this, to sexism, which is tied to gender roles we see going on today. You know what I mean? That I see on. So anybody disagree? Like sexism is tied to gender problems? I guess that's another ism. I never heard about this either. Sexism. I'm being real. You can click on it. Go, put this in the chat, guys. Because I don't want the Wikipedia. Go. I don't know who made this shit up. Because I'm new. I ain't gonna lie. I'm 15 days old to this shit right now. Sexism and wokeism and understanding the complexity of it to do this, what we doing right here with Unite. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, this is what this really is tied to? Okay. Because I've seen it in, TV and reality show, people using it in popularity culture, but this is what they're trying to say. Because whoever did Wikipedia and made this one up, you know what I mean? They say anybody can do it, right? But anyways, LGBT rights. It says woke has also been used as a shorthand for some ideas of American left. It's still tied to the Democratic Party, ain't it? And then it says involving identity politics. You see what I'm saying? So everything I'm telling y'all tonight is, I'm telling you, when I did my research, all this shit tracing back to this term identity politics. That's why I, chose to use it for you, because it's especially this one. You know what I mean? And I know it's Wikipedia, but goddamn, it put y'all right in. You know what I mean? This is what y'all. Because I ain't siding with that shit. You know what I mean? Kofi, you siding with this shit? PA, you siding with this shit? Exactly. I don't know who, and how, since people, but see, representation, it ain't even got nothing to do with taxation. It's tied to politics. This right here is crazy. But either way, even pulled in, look how everything's lumped into it. Like how a bunch of Negroes are lumped into a category now. Everybody think everybody that's labeled Negro is African American, based off of the term African, which is the continent and not even a nation like America. You know what I'm saying? dealing with ethnicities within a nation, not even how a continent can have so many goddamn nations with ethnicities within that. Like niggas has got to be due the micro to the macro somehow or another. But get there sooner or later, please. Social justice, such as white privilege and reparations for slavery in the United States. You know what I'm saying? So all these are lumped into this term wokeism. I want to make sure everybody get it. Erykah Badu's mentioned there too. You can go, read it. You know what I mean? But all these things are lumped into the same shit. So you tell me we've been on social media having these conversations, all these things are woke. This what y'all woke about. This is why all these topics are tied to being woke. You hear me? From the black folk that's talking about being gay or whatever the case might be, reparations to, you know what I mean, injustices, to you're tied to wokeism. Did you know that? Anybody out there? This is what they're tying you to. Stay woke. Cause I ain't woke. I'm sleep then, bitch. You heard me? I'm out of there. I'm good. No, you're not gonna lump me in with that in my identity politics of what I'm, you know what I mean, what we do over here with the Thomas Party. I'm conscious, but I ain't woke. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all caught that though. Because you've been maybe lumped into more than just being called just an identity, but the politics tied to it in modern day time that you've seen in this election. Would you say that wokeism was tied to what you saw in this election? God? Pete? Wokeism? Would you say that this term wokeism is what we've seen in this election? On what they presented? To a certain extent? On the American left. That's what it says, right? So you slide to know. I just wanted to make that point. I just wanted to put that up because that was very interesting. I'm gonna play this clip though, because this actually show is tied to this wokeism thing, by the way. And I don't know if anybody know Dear White People and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Anybody watch that show? It was on Netflix. It's called Dear White People. You know what I'm saying? Now, these black woke folk were really getting social. You know what I'm saying? And whatever the case might be, because I remember this show. You know what I'm saying? So I had to think about it when I'm like, damn. And you could ask my wife. I said to my Cove, I said, Nancy, you remember that damn show called Dear White People? That shit tied to wokeism. You know that they were talking about hoteps. They were dissing hotep niggas, and I don't like them either. But I mean, damn. You know what I mean? But peak game. But check it out, huh? Peak clip.
Bullshit. You have something to add? Me? Yeah, I do. Look, your biggest athletes, right? Movie stars. Hell, guys, my president is black. Okay, sometimes I think the hardest thing to be in the American workforce right now is an educated white guy.
You're not serious.
Hey, look, you guys still got affirmative action. That's all I'm saying.
I'm sorry. What exactly are you doing here?
All right, check this out. You ready? Obama, right? Leader of the free world. He gets into Harvard based on you. Too late. Affirmative action. You know who's not president right now? No. The guy who didn't get in.
Well, on behalf of all the colored folks in the room, let me apologize to all the better qualified white students whose place we're taking up.
No, it's fine. We're okay.
I'm sorry, did you get lost? The shay's that way.
Oh, I know where it is. I'm actually supposed to eat there. Yeah, it's just this is the only dining hall that you can actually get yourself some chicken and waffles. Oh, your way. Ugh. God.
Oh, excuse me.
Serious question. Do you know?
Yeah, I know your dad is president.
Good.
He's the same one that has been pushing to break up this house for a decade. What's wrong? Is he afraid letting the Negroes gather in groups might start a little rebellion on his plantation? Oh, well, then you tell him from me that he should be.
Yeah. Bad move. Let's go. Excuse me. Sorry. Use us.
Very interesting. I don't know if anybody remember that show, but go back and watch that joint. Dear White People, man.
Me?
Nothing was being aired out. You know what I'm saying?
Do you live here?
A lot of liberal things. actually, when I think about, the show was very liberal in the black sense of liberation of these folks not being able to be discriminated against in their way of how they were being marginalized, not off of the inequalities of the civil rights or anything tied to discrimination of just dealing with their complexion of their skin, but also other injustices. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I want to point that out, like dealing with how they viewed in social ways and how they should have the liberation to be who they are too within that dynamic. Go watch the joint though. And they air it out, them Hotep niggas. You know what I'm saying? That's the people that romanticize saying the Greek black folk in education learned about that and they said, well, we got a one up on you. Well, it says that the Greeks learned everything from the Egyptians. So that's why they call in that college situation, if you don't know that, that's something I learned in college. You hear me? At the HBCU, by the way, in 98. That was something you learned culturally, you know what I'm saying? At the HBCU. The Greek thing is one thing, but the one up is that the Egyptians thing is what the Greeks learned from. Herodotus. You know what I mean? And all them people. But however the case, you woke, though. You woke. I get it. You woke. I get it. Conscious. But a lot of people ain't reading them books in them schools that they go to. But they're just trying to, pass to get their degrees. To keep it real. You know what I mean? And they partying at them Greek fraternities. Because they get free food and free alcohol. Yeah, I remember 19, 20 years old. You hear me? Shout out to my folk, though. We had a little thing. We didn't have to get caught up too much. But, you know what I mean? I know what it is. I was there. I seen it myself. But this is obviously, these people are on more of a majority white campus because it's like more of an Ivy League kind of atmosphere. They're white people. But these are the educated folk when they got their thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, these people, that's why that clip is, you got to watch the whole thing to understand. You know what I mean? Because Reggie's the Hotep nigga, by the way. I ain't like him. He played it good. This joint though, because Obama, you know what I mean? Because this is something that I felt that I need to put in here. When Trump said things about him, everybody said, we showed y'all, if you saw last week with Lee Cummings, and he, brought up, we showed a clip of this dude, you know what I'm saying? Donnie is the white guy, Donnie, not the Donnie other guy that was talking about him in the last week's show. You have to know that to catch on, right? But in their correlation of both of them being considered pastors, obviously the black Donnie is more known in my understanding of being a singer. Shout out to Radames, you know what I'm saying? He says, Kamala said the safe word woke multiple times in her speeches. Very interesting. But in the thing that I'm really trying to point out, where it says there's also a show called Woke-ish too. I didn't even know about that shit too. Shout out to Radames. I'm trying to keep my thought. My bad. Definitely, it's something to go look up into because I didn't even know about Woke-ish too. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even really pay attention that she used it. To be honest with you, I can't even lie. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. So shout out to Radames. I didn't even pay attention that was part of her. You know what I mean? Because I ain't really watched none of her shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just already I already knew what it was before. I didn't even hear no speeches about that shit. I watched it for entertainment when they did the debate that one time and, clips and certain things. But I mean, technically, if you just read the policies tied to the Democratic Party, being that she's the VP and they ain't have no nominees or nothing to go against her, going from that to that, you know what I mean? Well, let me know that they're got to be either using the same policy, politically speaking. You know what I mean? Little adaptations, a lot of marketing, $1 billion worth, $20 in debt, 20 million in debt for the record. You know what I mean? Wokeism being promoted. But still, people get, whatever. In this link, though, because people don't know this too, when Obama was running for senator, I came across this in his campaign year. This shit was aired out because people were saying that Trump was racist. Just like Donnie and I broke up, the white dude that said that the black church is going off and not following the certain bylaws of being labeled. They're all Christians, right? If you all black and white, no matter if you're East Indian or whatever you is, you know what I'm saying? And you say you're Christian, right? You're all supposed to be following the same bylaws, right? We all read the same Bible, they say, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what he was calling out because of them going against the morals of them saying they're Christians. Now you can be black, right? Because black identity politics has nothing to do with your black religion, right? There's plenty of blacks in this country that are not Christians, for the record, right? That can vote Democratic or Republican, correct? You know, you see what I'm saying? But for those who you that it touched your nerve because you knew traditionally you was raised like how Obusi said Southern Baptist earlier, right? And he a rapper, you know what I mean? His daddy, he say his granddaddy was a pastor, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he went off and did certain things that his own granddaddy might be like, "What you doing, boy?" But at the same time, he knows certain parts of his principles and say that's not what our people do, you know what I'm saying? Now other groups of people that's black might do that, though, you know what I mean? That's your business, and you have the right to do it. Just the, wokeism. You know what I'm saying? But principles and traditions are two different things as far as why you keep them, why you don't. Especially when it's tied to your legacy and family and keeping that going type shit. You know what I'm saying? In that situation, but this guy right here, coming back to him, see, I don't want y'all to lose focus. Focus in. I put it ahead of y'all so you can read now. You see what it said, bold letters. When he was a senator, identity, politics. I have to do this for. Isn't this not tied to politics? Got it right? Pierre, is this not tied to politics? This is archive.org, by the way, that it kept this article of him in the time frame. It says Kenyan-born U.S. Senate hopeful. He's not even a senator yet. You see how I said that? It says Barack Obama appeared set to take over the Illinois state seat after his main rival, Jack Ryan, dropped out of the race. We're not talking about racial, we're talking about status of being in a political seat, by the way. You know what I mean? Not racial like y'all, don't mix the dope. On a Friday night amid a furor over lurid sex club allegations. That's some shit, huh? He got caught up in a scandal. But he got caught up in a scandal that's in the seat already that Obama, who they're saying here, is a Kenyan. Like, I don't know, because I know they say he was born in Hawaii, right? And Hawaii is considered a United States jurisdiction. And even some people debate based off of the understanding of true Republican idea of the Constitution that, if you weren't born in the original states, right, you're not a real, you know what I mean? You can't run for president, you know what I'm saying? Because you just an expansion thing, you know what I mean? Some people might feel discriminated against based off the identity politics, right? Of that I can't ever run for president, no matter my ethnicity, my religion, you know what I'm saying? But they say that he got through. That's why them Anglo-Saxon folk that's Republican, they say racists are saying that this man ain't supposed to. Trump called it out. Did he not call it out back then? Did not Trump call this out back then? Say, I don't know if you, but this is outside of even Trump never mentioned this shit. You heard me? But it's coming out right now though. Identity politics. Running for a senator political position, saying he's a Kenya-born person who he went against. I don't know if anybody want to look up if he really went against this person. This is some made-up article. You could do that on your own time too. But we just want to point out some identity politics thing because this is the man that literally pointed out that in his time frame as being president, my president is black, said, the Negro is now going to be called an African American. I mean, he has something relating to that because it says here, he was born in Kenya. Kenya is a nation within the continent of Africa. Ain't that something? Negroes. Stop using the word Negro, right? Use African American. You're going to go into this. It's going to be a part 2 because of this word Negro. And really come as Negro series and all that. Because we don't really correlate when we trace this word Negro, as we've been doing. Shout out to 9 Ether. Negro is going to be older than what these people are referencing in any of these situations when you really understand the origin of the word. It's describing something black, even in the Bible. Keep sliding though. I want to point that out though, identity politics. And even this, we showed this before. We're going to bring it back up because she became a senator when he, the Kenya-born person in that last article they said, became a senator and then became the president with Biden as the VP. She's in a senator position while He's the president. Do the timeline. Anybody can do the timeline, am I lying, God? You can't make this shit up. Identity politics, right? The lesser known side of Harris's identity, Asian American. Because as a senator, and since she's not widely known as that, I guess complexion is past the senator seat and how she identified herself, because people just want to say culturally she looked black. You know what I'm saying? Look where it says, Miss Harris, the vice president and likely Democratic nominee for president, is known widely as the first black woman to be elected as vice president. But Miss Harris, whose mother immigrated, peep game, which is after 1965, from India, and whose father immigrated from Jamaica, which is still after 1965, is less known as an Indian American, East Indian, by the way, and Asian American. Asked to name a famous Asian American, only 2% of Americans said Kamala Harris, according to a recent survey by the Asian American Foundation. Because they got a whole foundation, if you didn't know. You know what I'm saying? We'll make sure we run that back. Slide up, God. And it says Miss Harris does not shy away from talking about her Indian heritage and Asian American identity. She repeats, I said that on my own. She speaks often about the strong influences her Indian mother and grandmother had on her life. Grandfather, I said that wrong? Oh, yeah, I said grandmother, my bad. Grandfather. Either way, slide down. As a freshman senator, that's what I want to get to. Because if Obama, as a senator, right, is being called in a document as a Kenyan-born senator that's in Chicago going against this guy that got caught up in the scandal, and in this situation, it says when she freshman, it's like you first coming in, a freshman senator, they got something in common. And when they first coming in, you know what I mean, as being called senator, they're both basically, not American, you know what I mean, in the manner of how they're looked at in their political identity politics. Do you get it? Wink, wink. You heard me? And that who assumed the role in 2017. That was like Trump, right? Trump in office. You know what I'm saying? Coming out Obama, who changed again now, peep your timeline, in 2012, the word Oriental to Asian American, when Obama, who's now president, from the time frame of he gaining to the ladder, they be in that position from being a senator as his identifying situation as a senator. She's like her. You know what I mean? I don't know. Does identity politics matter? If you identify politically in any position in this country, right? Do you stand on business and identity of your politics? Because she told you clearly she wasn't doing nothing for you, and we got plenty of documentation what she did for the Asian American. You know what I mean? That she is identifying as a senator as in 2017 when Trump was in office. Do a timeline. Anybody can do a timeline on identity politics of these two individuals. I mean, I'm just saying it. You might be mad. I mean, sources are there. Biden administration and all that good shit. Keep sliding though. Identity. They're the best because of this political time frame campaign we in, and dealing with identities and how people mix the dope of all of it. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? You need to get a gathering because this is all being exposed in this time frame we're living in now. That you need to understand there's more to our identity being called black or white. You see what I'm saying? That's why I want to point out with the identity politics. You know what I mean? I got more shit, but I couldn't even put it all in the clip. You know what I'm saying? We got Egyptian people coming, and they're mad because they coming in America and they're like, my dark skin, culturally shit, I'm black, but they want to put me with them Anglo-Saxons. I don't want to be put with them. Well, bitch, what you mean? You ain't no category for you yet. You know what I'm saying? This is the categories you get based off how you immigrated into the country of this national origin now, based off of Anglo-Saxon white supremacy, right? You know what I mean? In the census, even from the time frame of Benjamin Franklin, 1752, right? Oh, here we go. Slide up, make it bigger, God. Make this bigger. We gonna get in, we're gonna get out with this last couple of things, sure. Because I'm only pointing out like the things that people maybe not, you know what I'm saying, paying attention to with their identity politics today, you know what I mean, your wokeism or whatever you call it, conscious, conservative, liberal ideals. Autonomously, you have the right to do what you do. You know what I mean? Don't get me twisted. I can't tell you that. We'd be like hypocrites to tell you, you know what I mean, you ain't got the right to be woke enough to do what you do, right? You liberal. You know what I'm saying? That's your business. here you go though. I use the source again. I always pick them because they correlate. Make it big. Let's say can you see how that little link is covering it? It's gonna mess me up, and that's the highlighted part. All right. In common usage in the U.S., nationality and ethnicity means very different things. Nationality means what countries on your passport and birth certificate, and ethnicity means who were your ancestors. In my case, my nationality is, and they ain't talking about me, American, even though mine is, and my ethnicity is mostly Italian and Irish, and we differ from there. And it's in other English-speaking countries. However, nationality and ethnicity are almost interchangeable. See, this is where the dope get mixed, right? This is probably because most countries are believed to have been founded and principally populated by one group of people. This would be various specific Celts, like Celtic, like the Boston, Celtic, they've been balling. For Ireland, Scotland, Britain proper. Franks of France, because France is actually where you get the origin of the word France. Indians, meaning East Indians, like Kamala Harris and her senatorial position, tied to India, etc. This belief is not always true, but it's usually there. The people in the United States usually, however, have always considered themselves to come from more than one ancestral group. Back in 1700s, having Germans and Britons and Dutchmen in the same room counted as highly diverse, meaning and concept of ethnic diversity expanded since. So nation and ancestry were more clearly two separate things for Americans than other people. People gotta get that in context. Does that make sense, God? That makes sense to everybody out there? Pete, what you think about that? How that broke that down? Does that make sense? I mean, we try to use common sense with the understanding of that America is different from a lot of places because of how they gave that example. You know what I mean? And how you in America, your ethnicity is not the same as your national origin because of certain situations that America's evolution took place in. Straight up. That part too. We don't know who the original is because they mixed it up. Right. It's how they did it. That's how they mixed the dope now. Who the original people being described as copper colored? And who them people that came in that they say in 1828 tied to this term American? That obviously, really, when you say 1828, is after 1763, when King George III actually fully as a British king sovereign is not sharing what we call North America with any other European situation. You heard me? See, people don't understand that part though, of American history, right? And that all those group of people, are they black or just white? And what positions are the black and white people you want to call today, woke wise, you think, are? You heard me? Like this is something to think about in your identity politics in the 21st century of what they put in your face, what the reality is though. And I think that the white folk we call Anglo-Saxons that you want to call racist understand that though, but we don't. In some cases, I'm seeing from how y'all woke folks say y'all moving out here and how y'all talk. You know what I'm saying? You mixing all the dope up, all of it, high as hell. Oh Lord, I'm gonna smoke another joint. Next source. Because I have to do it just to talk to y'all. I have to give you examples. You know what I mean? And I'm taking time to give you this identity politics thing, just examples. Now you go do your own, due diligence. Due diligence. You heard me? Yeah, that's the loose. Free Negro. Now, peak game. Now, for all y'all that be saying, because somebody the other day came up on me, I was like, yo, bro, why you keep telling everybody 1865 everybody got free? They're all Negroes that were African. They all Africans, and they all got free in 1865. Stop that shit, bro. Stop it, bro. You really indoctrinated your own people, putting them in a mentality that it's not even what it is. You got to be honest. Hold on, let that marinate 1 second. Hold on. As it says there, though, free Negro heads of families. Matter of fact, you got to go up because you said Jamestown. I got to get these. I got to get them this work. I can't even. No, go up. It's where it started at. That's where it starts at. All right, then I'm tripping. To Jamestown in 1619, became a slaveholder. I don't like that how I do that though. I don't know why it's doing that. Well, anyways, the higher status of the free Negro is what I want to go into. Is a free Negro is well attested by the fact that although the colonies had special enactments protecting slave property and providing special codes and tribunals for this element of the population, they at the same time recognized free persons of color. After the middle of the century, however, it was difficult for an African immigrant to escape being reduced to slavery. The period in which it was possible for Negroes to come as servants and later acquire freedom terminated near and in the 17th century. The free Negro population thereafter found recruits only from children born of free Negro parents, mulatto children born of free Negro mothers, mulatto children born of white servants, or free white women, children of free Negro and Indian mixed parentage. That's the loose. And manumitted, that's that Roman term, you know, go back and understand where that word go back to. Slaves of the children born of free Negro parents, there was a steady increase. This, of course, depended to some extent upon the increase of the number of Negroes of this status. You see how I said status, guy? I ended it with status? It didn't even say race. You repeat that, right? You said it earlier. I didn't even expect you to pull that shit up earlier. You see how I said, you corrected me like, it said status, not race, right? Make sure we get that clear, right? So Carter G. Woodson's book, 1830, talking about free Negroes of the state, right? This is a part of the introduction. I want to show them that part, but you know what I mean? But in the context of what you just showed, you know what I mean? It correlates. Does it correlate to you guys? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? P, am I tripping? All right, at the same time, it's just, oh, wait. I read all that shit, didn't I? All right. I said, of the children born of free Negroes' parents, there was a steady increase. This, of course, depended to some extent upon the increase of the number of Negroes of this status. During the 17th century, there were not many free Negroes in the colonies. Key word, in the colonies. And it says, and when the change in the attitude of the whites reduced the number of free Negro recruits from the slave population, there was not much of a prospect for an unusual increase in the number of children born of free Negro parenta. That's like a Spanish way of saying it. Yet, as there was observed the Roman law to the effect that the child followed the condition of the mother. I want that to be clearly heard there. You heard me out? You heard that? Code. Yet, as there was observed the Roman law to the effect, meaning off the Roman understanding of colonial, Christian, you know what I mean, Catholic ideals, your parent, meaning your mama, is what you're based off of when it comes to your identity. Am I getting that right? Based off Roman law? Or am I tripping? Anybody missing that? Or make sure we're on the same page now. Carter G. Woodson broke it down. The children of white men by free Negro mothers contributed much to the increase in this population coming from Europe without their wives, with says some white men slide up to their little thing over the top of it. I ain't gonna keep going over too much more, but they need to get all of that, all the mixtures going on here. Cohabited with Indian and Negro women. The mixture. For those who say they're not mixed, but they got a whole record of this, and Carter G. Woodson even reported on it in talking about the Negroes that in 1830 are Negro heads of families with these mixtures in their situations. You see what I'm saying? Am I tripping? Identity for y'all Negroes out there. See how that correlated? Your identity politics and how that the system is looking at you. Cause we keep it in autonomous over here with this. Keep sliding, guy. I ain't gonna even because I could go, Carter G. Woodson, Negro heads of families, right? Is it had families? 1830. Shout out to Open Mihai, right? Because he covered this in the genealogy, and why we know what we're telling you of these mixtures of things and the status of the system that puts you in a situation to why you might understand your political identity tied to certain things based off of status later on in the evolution of the nation of your origin. Yeah, it's bad. Inequalities, discrimination, and all the things tied to the term Negro. When Lincoln borrowed a book, oh, listen here, y'all. You got to get this one. Because when they talk about Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, I got to give you this. I had to squeeze this in. I ain't gonna lie, I'm almost there. We're almost there. I'm a little off, but I got to give it to you now. It says, in this joint, though, go to page 5. Right? Page 5. Stop there. Go back up. Show the picture real quick. I'll make sure you see. You know what I mean? And you can put the link in the chat too, because I want them to read this whole thing. If you got time, then I'm gonna let you read it for yourself, and you can gather your comprehension. You know what I'm saying? On it. You hear me? I'm gonna give you this. Let you go read it for yourself. I ain't autonomously. You hear me? I ain't govern your own time to read this thing. You put it up. All right. So in the picture though, slide down. So basically, I'm gonna give you what I read out of it. Right? As we get to the because the word Negro is in here. If you like, when you got the source, you can type in Negro on your Google joint, right? And it say find on page, and it will give you times the word Negro is being used, right? We're on page 5. Are we there? Oh shit! Wait a minute. You can make me give the example how this work. Hold on. I might have went down. I think you might have went down too much. Hold on. Find on page. I'm gonna do a lot right now since you said that. Since we're doing like this, find on page. Here you go. 15 times in the source, all right? It's on page 5 out of 17. You there? All right, now, and it's going to be, slide down. Entice of mankind. All right. All right, there we go. No, because they ain't got time. They got to read that shit to themselves, too. Slide down more. We're going to get to the word Negro now. There's 2 times I need to point it out. It's specific. Like the ocean. Some people try to joke with me the other day. You know how this is my way of saying things. You know what I'm fucking talking about. Detail. Thank you. Well, according to the polygynist, Negroes were not our fellow men, but a very different and an inferior type of mankind. And this guy's name, Algizis, a particular contribution to the types of mankind, was an 18th page sketch of the natural province of animal world and their relation to the different types of man, at the end of which he put the polygynist case succinctly. And I said it right. Succinctly. You know I'd be fucking this shit up, right? Either mankind originated from the common stock and all the different races with their peculiarities, and their present distribution. Slide down. And it says, are to be ascribed to subsequent, liquor, it's the words, liquor, subsequent changes, an assumption for which there is no evidence whatever, or must acknowledge that the diversity among animals is a fact determined by the will of the creator. Now, all that good shit, good and all. Keep sliding, because just go to this. Since you got the link, can you do that on your joint? Go to the second time and use Negro. It's the second one they time to use Negro. You know what I mean? In this joint. And I can slide down with you with it. You can do it that way. I don't want them to see this. This is Abraham Lincoln's joint. This is actually tied to what we call Abraham Lincoln 10 years before he was a president, and he is defending a person by the name of William Dungy, and there's a guy named Moore surname wise, and this book is tied to in this time frame. That's why I want y'all to read it for yourselves, right? But you gotta get the context. This is tied to identity politics at the time frame when Abraham Lincoln is a lawyer representing a Portuguese man by the name of William Dungy, and this is the 1855. This William Dungy person is married to a white person and a woman, excuse me, and she has a brother, and her brother is put allegations out here that the man that her sister is married to is a Negro. You feel me? Everybody on the same page? When you read it for yourself, you'll see in detail. But it's funny that I kind of saw this part of this put with it because terms like Lutheran Reformation. I'm gonna read that part. Look what. While discussing other discoveries and inventions, Lincoln highlighted the discovery of America and the creation of patent laws. But before actually discussing each, he inserted, though not strictly opposite, like I would say opposite, but it's an Ada, to my present purpose, to other important events. The Lutheran Reformation in 1517, and still earlier, the invention of Negroes, or the present mode of using them in 1434. His Protestant audience probably admired the reference to the Reformation, unless the church goers pondered why he implied that their religion was an invention, and was probably mystified by the phrase the invention of Negroes, especially since Lincoln offered no further explanation, yet the date 1434 signals what Lincoln was thinking about in Francis Lieber's Encyclopedia Americana, which Lincoln either owned or, slide on down now, God, this is the good thing now, it's the good shit, consulted from the state library and cited elsewhere in lecture. He could have read the article on slavery that Africans' bondage to Europeans began in 1434, when a Portuguese captain kidnapped some Africans and sold them to the Moorish families in southern Spain. Unlike slaves in antiquity, these Africans were not debtors, key word to understand, war captives, or even time indentured laborers. Lieber wrote that this atrocity at which nature revolts could never have reached the height it did if the color of the slave had not given rise to the idea of his being by nature a degraded being. In Lincoln's view, this idea of black inferiority was therefore an invention and not ordained by God or nature. To be sure, Lieber touched on more than mere color, declaring in the article titled Negro that the shape of the cranium allowed less space for the brain than in some other varieties of man. However, Lieber also asserted the opinion formerly maintained that they were of an inferior variety of animals. Now, Lincoln's against all this shit to keep it simple with you. You heard me? You heard it when I read it earlier. You heard that guy? Did you comprehend that, Pete? That he ain't with what they're telling. He's showing you the word, the shit going. Wait, you good. Appreciate you. I mean, in the situation that shit is, I mean, you gotta read the whole thing for yourself. You know what I mean? But either way, in this same thing is the context tied to when Abraham Lincoln is actually debating on behalf of this Portuguese man, William Dungy, and that he's a Portuguese man, first off, tied to Moorish ancestry, not tied to people we would call the Negro de Guinea West African ancestry. You know what I'm saying? That are being treated like we call uncivilized people within the ideal of civilization and what we call American culture of the what it said all the different people that's here. You know what I mean? From the time of Benjamin Franklin saying, all those swarthy people coming in. So William Dungy is being classified a Negro, but he's telling you he's Portuguese in this link. If you ain't heard about this yet, you know what I mean? And Portuguese is started to having Moorish ancestry, not Negro ancestry. Identity politics at that time. This is a court case. He's defending somebody. Is that making sense? What I'm saying? Now, real quick, be there. Keep sliding. Next guy that's on a comparison before we get out of here tonight is going to be obviously Dred Scott. Anybody that knows about Dred Scott, you know what I'm saying? He is not in the same position as William Dungy, that Abraham Lincoln is defending, dealing with this term Negro. So everybody can do their own delineation of case law, and why somebody in Dred Scott's position is not being treated in the same way as the William Dungy. You feel me, guys? Am I making sense what I'm doing? Identity politics, past to present. All this makes sense if you pay attention. Go read it for yourself. There's the course. Put that joint in the source. We're going because I ain't gonna read all this thing. Gonna put this in the source. We're gonna play the clip. Let me keep it sliding. I think the clip I'm gonna play will give you a quick synopsis of that situation with the popular Dred Scott. And we're almost there. I appreciate y'all tapping in with this identity. But you know, if you have questions, put it in the chat. And obviously, after the show, if you have anything based off of you coming after the fact, what we're presenting, and you want to, you know, touch on it, we can touch on this identity politics a little bit more. Cause I think it's a past present conversation that a lot of people that, you know, are labeled Black, Negro, colored, African American, or even if you are tied to immigration or coming in this country from 1965, you're still tied to this term Black. You know what I mean? And you might have been called by white folk Negro. You know what I mean? And what's your identity politics align with? Is it just because you're Black and Negro today in the 21st century? Go ahead, God, slide. No, I want to put that in the chat. We're gonna let the we're gonna let the well in summary, Dred Scott was an enslaved man who was taken by his enslaver into a free state, and also the free federal territory. Federal, pay attention. Sued for freedom for himself and his family based on his stay in free territory. The court refused to permit Scott constitutional protections and rights because he was not a citizen. Therefore, he did not have the right to sue because the relevant constitutional provision granted federal courts jurisdiction only between citizens of different states. The court also held that the federal Missouri Compromise abolishing slavery in the upper Louisiana Territory was in fact unconstitutional because the enslavers' property rights in enslaved persons were violated. This holding pushed back efforts for the abolition of slavery and created a standard that African Americans, you know, were not American citizens, confirming that they had no constitutional protections or rights. You know what I'm saying? So this is all tied to Dred Scott, you know what I mean? In this joint right here. And the Missouri joint, you see that joint? It said the Missouri Compromise. You got a little something for that, but I want to play the clip, God. And we're going to, we almost, we're going over. But I got to get this to y'all. I had to make sure I get this to y'all. It's been a long day, but I got to get this to y'all. Play this clip. Tap in.
Supreme Court on March 6, 1857, determined that Dred Scott, a slave who had resided in free states, was not entitled to freedom. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney and the court also asserted that African Americans could never attain U.S. citizenship and declared the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional. Scott, owned by John Emerson, had lived in free territories but was returned to Missouri after Emerson's death in 1843. Scott attempted to purchase his freedom unsuccessfully and subsequently sued for it in 1846. This lawsuit led to a protracted legal battle culminating in the Supreme Court. The decision, widely condemned as the court's worst, heightened national tensions that ultimately contributed to the Civil War. Scott and his wife, Harriet, were eventually emancipated in 1857 through purchase by the Blow family. Scott passed away in 1858, while Harriet lived until June 1876, witnessing the Civil War and the abolition of slavery with the 13th Amendment. The Dred Scott
All right, slide. So you see, there's a little, I'll give you a little something because I can't read all this shit, though. You know what I mean? I hope y'all know about Dred Scott. You know what I mean? But if you think about Dred Scott's time frame, it's 1857, and William Dungy is 1855, which means William Dungy, Abraham Lincoln, and Dred Scott are all around at the same time. You feel me? And it's free people. This is all before 1865, by the way, too. That's why I want all three scenarios. It's before 1865. You know what I mean? One dude had a contract on him, the other one didn't, and he's married to a white girl. You know what I mean? And everything. Like, this is different scenarios, but everybody ain't in the same position. This is before 1865 that Abraham Lincoln is the president now making the decision to make the Union expand because it's tied to this abolitionism, which is also an international thing we've covered. Shout out to Monte with the news. You know what I mean? Feel me, God? Like, this is all here in American history. And it seems like people want to mix their social and identical things outside of what we know is tied to, your people and what they were going through because you want to go with the popular narrative. I guess some people might say wokeism to push their narrative. Especially that 1865, everybody was a slave thing. No, especially they being labeled, when Dungy was being labeled a Negro, he was a Portuguese dark-skinned person, Swarte. You heard me? Pete Gang. Keep it moving, right? Now, in this situation, 3/5 compromise was an agreement reaching, and this is that time frame now, 1787 United States Constitutional Convention over the inclusion, not exclusion, inclusion of slaves in states' total population. This count would determine number of seats in the House of Representatives, the number of electoral votes each state would allocated, and how much money the states would pay in taxes. Slaveholding states wanted their entire population to be counted to determine the number of representatives those states could elect and send to Congress. Free states wanted to exclude the counting of slave populations in slave states. Enslaved states, since those states, tongue twister. Since those slaves had no voting rights, a compromise was struck to resolve this impasse. The compromise counted 3/5 of each state slave population toward the state total population for the purpose of appropriating the House of Representatives, affecting giving the southern states more power in House relative in northern states. It also, It also gave slaveholders similar in large powers in southern legislators. This was an issue in the succession of West Virginia from Virginia to 1863. Free blacks. Now, Pete Gang, this is what I want to land on, guys. Slide up a little bit. This is what I want to land on because this identity politics. Free blacks and indentured servants were not subject to the compromise, and each was counted as one full person in representation. You hear that, guy? You heard that? Now, how many of y'all done heard people say that all blacks were just, 3/5 of a person? You know what I mean? That pseudo this, pseudo that part. Have you heard that before, God? Anybody heard the Missouri Compromise and all blacks? You know what I mean? We're just 3/5, but counted as 3/5. You know what I mean? And we're breaking down some things past the present that you need to just get out your mind. It's spookism, it's wokeism. Spookism and wokeism might be synonymous in some cases. What they're pushing, tied to your identity, because you're labeled black and how they present things to you. Obviously, what Tom will tell you to do your own research. Slide, God. We almost out of there. We almost out of there, right? That's it. I'm on point. We out of there. I want you to understand when you see things like this and how they present things to you, you got to understand identity politics from past to present. That's the loosely. You know what I mean? And I don't got no hate against other people that's labeled the same as me in the system standpoint, but because my understanding of my things outside of the politics of a nation and how my ethnicity, my culture, my social ideals of things, you know what I mean? Makes me align with certain people, not just in a racial way, but in a social, political, economic way too. You know what I mean? And that's why we see a lot of that going on right now. And I mean, I'm autonomous with this. So really, we don't pick sides of what they say, a bird. But y'all about to eat turkey in a minute though. Coming up at the end of the month, we got something for y'all job turkey. Pseudo this, pseudo that. You know what I mean? Since we talked about the Moorish Portuguese thing we just mentioned tonight. And from a lot of y'all folk, because that Missouri Compromise thing, a lot of y'all Moorish American, yeah, y'all be saying this shit. I'm going to say it, I'm going to call you out. No, I ain't heard this from the American Indian folk. I ain't heard this from African American folk. I ain't heard this from, I don't really, am I right, God? It's really mostly Moorish American, or am I saying it wrong? When it comes to this three-fifths of a person, thing. You know what I mean? I ain't really heard that from nobody else. So I got something for y'all though. But I get it though. And I appreciate you for tapping in with us. We're gonna play this last clip. I got the video right from my dog Kevin, Black Violin, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody that tapped in with us. You know what I mean? It's been a long day, ain't gonna lie. I went to this concert joint tonight, my man Kevin, one half of the Black Violin. You know what I mean? If y'all don't know about them, they just came off a tour. They back here. You know, he went to Dillard, the same high school my daughter just graduated from, performing arts, and he presented three generations of people after him coming out of the same school, Dillard, a historical black school like a HBCU, but it's a historical school down here where I'm from, right? The Panthers is the logo of it, and I'm proud uh, to see people from younger than my daughter, older than my daughter, and obviously my peer that's doing big things tied to this, brand he's put out, coming out of things that are labeled black historically, in this country. And it shows that we're not limited to things of the narrative they put on us in a social way. Because what they just did tonight, I'm real with you, like that don't even get promoted in mainstream media, but it should. Real talk. And with that being said, Veronica, that's the Lucy. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to my Maroons outside banging against the injustices and how we've been disenfranchised within the system. And I appreciate y'all for the time. You heard me? We see y'all next Sunday. Peace.
with Shopify, the commerce platform designed. I wanna give you tea. I wanna give you all the reasons you want to do.